Avengers! Assemble.
Hello everyone. Thanks so much for joining me here today as we get to talk about one of my favorite subjects, comic books. My name is Jose. I love comic books. I love talking about them. I love sharing them with you. Feel free to follow me on social media if you would like. Links are in the description below. I've also posted a link to the Marvel fan site that I have plot synopsis and character bios for the issues we're about to see. So we're going to take a look at the entire Under Siege. Sorry, that was the last video. We're going to take a look at the entire Assault on Olympus, which are Avengers 278 through 285. It's the aftermath of the Under Siege storyline. Now, what I've done is I have taken the original videos and I have edited them as best as I can and slapped them together into one trade paperback-ish, for lack of a better word. I do this on my own. I don't have a team. I'm not a YouTuber. I do this for fun. Nothing is perfect. So this is just me doing this by myself. So like I mentioned, the editing's not perfect, but it's as best as I could sort of get it done. So I hope you enjoy it. It's it's a great series, and it is the last, it's basically Roger Stern's swan song. He had a very lengthy run on Avengers. I have covered the entire Under Siege arc. That's available on the playlist. So this one is next. Thanks for listening. So we're going to go and do the aftermath and the last story arc of Roger Stern before he leaves. And then we are going to head after that. I'll be covering Walter Simonson's brief run, which I believe starts in 291. So we will finish basically the after, kind of dealing with the repercussions from the Under Siege story arc that we covered. And so we're gonna kind of see how everything shaped up and all this. So like I said, this is gonna head now into Assault on Olympus. So, which will lead also into the original Avengers versus X-Men. So we're gonna kind of pick up the story. This era of Avengers, I have both good and bad memories of it. This isn't exactly the A-team of the Avengers. I mean, for God's sakes, Dr. Druid and the Black Knight, so the Wasp, so this isn't the A-team, but the story is really good. Roger Stern is the writer, and we're going to go all the way to the end of his run. Then we're going to skip Ralph Macchio. I think he did a couple of fill-in issues going through Roger Stern's plots. And then Walter Simonson takes over, and then we'll do Walter Simonson's, and then we'll be done with Avengers for the 80s, because then it just becomes, well, I won't say we're done. There is maybe some stuff in the 90s, maybe. But up until Kurt Busiek and George Perez come for Avengers Volume 2, there's a lot of really hit and miss stuff with Avengers. So, all right, here we go. 1 week ago, Avengers Mansion was ravaged by a battle between Earth's mightiest heroes and their sworn enemies, the Masters of Evil. It was all in the papers. This morning, in the pre-dawn hours, the mansion faces an assault of a different kind. Hurry up. You want someone to spot you? So you can see these guys are trying to break in. What does it? Okay, that does it for the lock. This place is ours. Okay, let's move. As you can see them kind of watching from behind. Real quick, John Buscema, rest in peace, is the is doing breakdown, and Tom Palmer, whose inks are unmistakable, is doing the finishes. Both of them rest in peace. Roger Stern is actually alive. Mark Renwell, the editor, also rest in peace. Jim Shooter is still alive. So keep your eyes peeled. You see anything that looks valuable, sing it out. And so this place is pitch black here. Are we supposed to see anything? We should have brought infrared gear. So this guy says, shut up. Use your pocket flash if you have it, and watch your step. You don't want to. And then he falls. And then doing the cursing. Look at that hole. He must have fallen a good 20 feet. Bert, can you hear me? You all right? No, my leg is broken. And suddenly the lights go on. We've been had. Let's get out of here. So the wasp comes in. You're not going anywhere except down, as she makes a hole through the floor. And so these guys are all fighting. He makes some kind of sexist comment here. Shut up, no broad with little wings is stopping me. So, all right, she grows full and hits him. And so this guy's going to try to get away, but of course we can recognize who's coming. Hold it right there, son. As we got Captain America here. So he gives up his weapon, and so they capture all the guys, and the Avengers call the cops. So, and I love it. They rope him. That is so comic book. That's just awesome. So a little bit later, Steve tells the Wasp, when word gets out, it should discourage other looters. And the Wasp says, I hope so. It's hard enough being an Avenger chairwoman without having to deal with 2-bit break-ins. And Captain America says, well, another few days and we'll be built, and the building will be fully secured for reconstruction. Don't get discouraged. You're doing a fine job. I don't know how we'd get along without you. And she's like, I was afraid you'd say something like that, as she thinks it, and says, thanks, Cap. So, she says she'll leave things in his care, and basically says goodbye. So, tells her to take it easy. But she's like, there's so much to oversee, so much to do. So she's going to go check on Hercules, who was beaten to a pulp by Mr. Hyde. I couldn't remember who it was. So Mr. Hyde. And we covered that in the Under Siege storyline. So the doctor tells her he sustained some brain damage, but his physique is extraordinary. And the doctor says, I can't imagine the power that it takes to do that to Hercules. So she asks, the best specialist you can find. Don't worry about the expense. That she'll figure it out. I love the way that he puts the shadow here. Just the details that Tom Palmer puts in to make it feel like a complete image. There's something to be had about some of these older people. Look at all the screen tones that were put in, screen tones and zipitones that are in here. Just amazing stuff. So now she's gonna check on Jarvis, who was also beaten. So he was pulverized by Mr. Hyde also. So and when I said Hercules was pulverized by Mr. Hyde, it was actually the Wreckers. I had him confused with Jarvis. So Jarvis was pulverized by Mr. Hyde, and Hercules was the wrecker. So she's checking up on him, and he's been resting. So he's about to go to surgery for that knee replacement. I love how in these older comic books they had time to get conversations in, and just you just don't see these things very often in modern comic books. Just this probably that um Under Siege would have probably been 12 issues with modern comic book storytelling. So she gives him a good kiss and asks him to save the last dance. So she's glad that she's doing better, or that he's doing better. She feels terrible because all that stuff's just happened under her watch. So she comes looking for the Black Knight, but the nurse says that he's checked out. All right, already. So she's a little upset about that. So now we're in the Four Freedoms Tower. That this is what the Fantastic Four lived in before or after the Baxter Building, because I believe the Baxter Building had been destroyed, and I love that design. So again, using some screen tones up here. So the Wasp is looking for the Submariner. Or sorry, she's not looking for the Submariner. The person in the call is looking for the Submariner, but she says she hasn't um, seen him, but she'll let him know. So I believe that they're working there at part time until they get the Avengers, and I love that. I just such a novel idea to do that. Just kind of tie things together. So in the comic world, so she's kind of upset with all the bureaucracy, and is also wondering where the Submariner is. So she falls asleep, and so we're having a dream, and I like how they go do it in black and white. Here's Namor. I love Tom Palmer's inking. I tell you, it's just so cool. So you can see that she's kind of going through stuff. The She-Hulk ends up waking her up. She apologizes. She didn't know that she was asleep, and the Wasp said, "Neither did I." She apologizes for not being around when the Avengers got hit by the Masters of Evil. They were out on a mission, and it says here for Fantastic Four 297 and 298. And so the She-Hulk's gonna give her a hand setting up the temporary office here, while Jan continues to work through the paperwork. I even love this. Look, the shadow of the gloves. Oh, just the detail. Goodness gracious. And so as she deals with paperwork, she says, man, dealing with the Masters of Evil was easier than all this paperwork that she has to deal with. And now she needs to work up a new roster for the Avengers. So the She-Hulk says she can go back to the Avengers because the Thing is back. And so during John Byrne's run, the Thing had left. But John Byrne at this time left to go to DC Comics to do Superman. So they brought back the Thing, and so the She-Hulk's now returning to the Avengers. So she thanks her, and she says if only they could track down the Black Knight. And off panel they says, "Oh, you didn't get his message? He left word last night that he was flying out to Hydrobase." And so here is Hydrobase. It says miles east of the New Jersey shoreline. An artificial island leased months ago by the Avengers as a floating air base for their fleet and supersonic Quinjets. And so there's a bit of a sparring match here. So the Black Knight and Doctor Druid are having a sparring match. He says he was going crazy in the hospital. So Doctor Druid is actually an old character created by Stan Lee and either Jack Kirby or Steve Ditko. I am not sure, but he's from even before um, the Fantastic Four came around. So very early days of Marvel. Again, love the shadow showing just the level of detail. I love it. So the Black Knight says, I never suspected you were into hand to hand combat. From the way Cap and the Wasp spoke of Dr. Druid, I got the idea you were strictly a sorcerer, probably similar to Doctor Strange. And Dr. Druid says, I'm not a sorcerer. I just dabble in the occult. So he says his powers are basically those of the mind. So he's a bit of like a telepath, probably like Charles Xavier. So and so uh the Black Knight kind of goes a little bit as to some of the stuff that some of the adventures he was recently on, but we're not going to concern ourselves with that at the moment. So and so he sees or he hears a call coming through, and he knows it's the Wasp, and so the Wasp, of course, um, is gonna ream him for leaving the hospital. Dr. Druid says he's doing okay and that he will kind of watch over him. And so suddenly, after they let go, there's an alarm going off. And so they have an intruder. So here comes the Black Knight. And you can see someone's coming through. Again, we got screen tones. Um, they shoot, but they do nothing. He dispatches them. And Black Knight says, who or what the devil are you? Love the it's Tyrek the Treacherous, probably from Atlantis, Namor's kingdom here. And so he's super strong as well. And so a brief battle, but he pulls the clap like the Hulk and creates a concussion blast. Dr. Druid tries to get him from behind, but that doesn't work. And he uses his mental powers, but he covers his eyes. He says, no, you won't entrance me. And here comes Captain, I almost said Dr. Marvel. Here comes Captain Marvel. This is Monica Rambeau. During this time, she was Captain Marvel. And so she's hitting him with some fire or some bolts, and he's like, gotta get water, gotta get the water, but she doesn't reach him. So the Wasp and She-Hulk arrive, and so they're gonna go question Tyrek, and Black Knight just feels so useless. He says he should have stayed in the hospital, perhaps, for as good as he is, or maybe he should just pack it in. Druid says he feels the brain pattern in Tyrek. He's conscious, and here he comes. He says Tyrek was ever conscious. He only feigned helplessness, and hits Captain Marvel. She-Hulk hits him here. You can hits him in the groin. I love just and hits him again. Great, absolutely great panel here. Just love it. Good stuff. But it's not enough to bring him down, and hits and defeats She-Hulk. The Wasp is gonna try to sting him, but it doesn't work. So she decides to just buzz around him. So here comes the Black Knight, grabs his ebony sword. Great inking job. I'm just in awe. I just love the art so much on this. John Buscema is a masterful, masterful penciler, but him with Tom Palmer, it is just beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Ah, rest in peace, both of them. So the Black Knight waves his ebony sword, ends up hitting his water containment reservoir, and now comes Captain Marvel again, and the She-Hulk gets up from the hole he put her in, and this time they hit him and bring him down for real. So he says he came looking for the Submariner. He was hoping to defeat him to regain the favor of Tuma, become part of the new Atlantean order. So she goes, well, another crisis averted. She thanks him because with his help, Tyrek did not seriously injure the Black Knight, who I think was her boyfriend at this time. So she's going through a hard time as leader of the Avengers here. She says she held back because she wanted someone else to save the day. She's sick of people telling her how they can't get along without her. So I think she's tired of being the leader or chairwoman, and Dr. Druid said, well, there's only one person that can do that, and that's her herself. So, and Thor has shown up. I love, I'm covering Walt Simonson's run on Thor, but I love this armor so much. They have not released it as an action figure, and I've been dying to see this released as an action figure because I just think it's gonna be so cool. So essentially, she puts the Avengers here, and she invited Doctor Druid, and she is stepping down as leader of the Avengers, and she's putting herself in reserve status. So, of course, Captain Marvel and Black Knight are shocked, and Thor's like, "Why, Wasp?" So basically, she says it was overdue anyway. Her stint as chairman should have termed, and so she's leaving Cap in charge for now, and basically is gonna leave for a bit. So, all right, and so Captain America basically says the floor is open for nominations. So next issue, a new leader. So we are going to be looking at Avengers 279 from 1987. I love this cover. There's just something about it. I am a huge fan of the inks of Tom Palmer Sr. Rest in peace. And there's something about this Thor uniform. The coloring, it's blue. It's probably the same shade of blue as Captain America's helmet, but and him just holding the hammer straight ahead. That's so cool. But this cover, I absolutely love, love, love. John Buscema, of course, is the penciler. Um, Tom Palmer uses a lot of screen tones, and here he is doing some screen tones there. Buscema almost adding all the scales to Captain America's uniform. So, and adding all these scales to Thor's armor. I am covering Walt Simonson's run on Thor currently. And if you want to know why he's wearing an armor, check that out. It is not a costume change for the sake of a costume change. So, all right. So, we're going to pick up kind of where we left off. So, we started this with the Under Siege story arc. That's where we jumped on into Avengers. And then we're going to continue going through Assault on Olympus. So, I'm also gonna be covering. I'm covering the Iron Man run on during this time. So I'm covering Iron Man and Captain America and Thor and the Avengers all in this era. So feel free to check those out. So we have Captain Marvel here. Monica Rambeau was Captain Marvel during this time. And so we're in a Atlanta neighborhood. So, and it says here that this was a nice neighborhood, but that was before Joshua Lanning began to hear voices. So we have the police. You can see they're shooting, or this guy's shooting here. So this is like bullet trajectories. And you can see that it's hitting here. So, and here are the credits. Jim Shooter toward the end of his run. Mark Grenwell, rest in peace. Tom Palmer, rest in peace. And John Buscema, rest in peace. Roger Stern is still with us. I don't know about any of these other people. So, Captain Marvel says what's going on, and he goes, "Oh, who are you? Where'd you?" And then he says, "Get down." And then she says, "I'm Captain Marvel of the Avengers." And the guy's like, "Yeah, sure. Look, lady, there's a man inside holding a gun on his wife and kids. I've got no time to kid around playing trick or treat." Doesn't believe her. "Understood, but I'm not a kid. I'm not kidding. Hold your fire. Let me see what I can do." And so she disappears. She's able to go at the speed of light, which is really fast. Kind of. So people that are so powerful like that, like, what's the point? They can win every battle. So, all right. So the wife is like, "Joshua, please. I know you've been having problems, but don't hurt little Josh and Annie." "I have no problems now, demon. My eyes have been opened, and I see you for what you are. The Lord God has spoken to me. Rise up," he said. "Put an end to the evil spirits that oppose me." And of course, Captain Marvel has showed up. And he says, "Listen to her. She speaks the truth. Lies, more lies. I will not listen to the agents of Satan," and starts to shoot at Captain Marvel. But of course, she makes herself intangible. And so, you're mistaken, Joshua. I'm no agent of Satan. Put down your weapons. You still stand. You're not wounded. You're an angel. I'm a friend who's come to help you. So, get up off your knees and come with me. I'll take you to people who will help you. Yes, I must follow the light to salvation." So, he ends up getting arrested here. So, she asked how the wife and kids are, and they said they're fine. They had to calm the missus down, and the sister, who's the aunt, are going to be taking care of the kids. So, after um, after all that, she ends up leaving. So the guys still can't believe they met an Avenger. So, all right. So in New Orleans, these are Monica's parents. They're watching the television. Again, look at all these screen tones here. Just so cool. And Monica appears. She said they got done. They had a meeting with the Avengers, and it was adjourned early. And the dad goes, "Did something go wrong in your meeting?" And she says, "Not really wrong, just unexpected," starting with the Wasp announcing that she was resigning as Avengers chairwoman. After nominating Dr. Druid for membership, Wasp surprised us by turning the gavel over to Captain America and leaving active duty. Cap, bless him, got right down to business. "The ayes have it. Welcome to the Avengers, Dr. Druid." "Thank you, Captain. Thanks, all of you. Now, do we have any nominations for chairman?" And Captain America asked Captain Marvel, and she goes, "I nominate you, Cap. Wasp named you acting chairman with good reason. You're clearly the best qualified." and he says thank you, but he can't accept it. His obligations to nationwide telephone hotline don't leave him enough time to devote to leading the Avengers. And he says, besides, we have another excellent choice. And he says that the Black Knight, um, sorry, I gotta keep going down here. And he wants to nominate Captain Marvel as a new chairperson. Now, real quick, I want to focus the eyes are not good. If you're looking, he looks a little cross-eyed there, but it's just a short little thing here. So Captain America nominates Captain Marvel, and the Black Knight seconds the motion, and um, he says, "Well then," and he says that she's honors, and she does want to lead the Avengers someday, but that she doesn't feel she's ready. And she then tells her parents that the nomination really took surprise, um, or really surprised her. So she says she could feel Dr. Druid's eyes on her, and he says the things I could accomplish were I to lead the Avengers. If only new members were allowed to take their office during their probation. If only new members were allowed to take office during their probationary period, but no matter, I shall bide my time. And so Thor says, if there be any doubts in your mind, Captain, then certainly you should rule yourself out. Thor then says, I myself am beset by many concerns these days, but if need be, I shall again accept the mantle of leadership. And then She-Hulk says, if Captain Marvel doesn't want to be chairwoman, okay, but I'm not sticking around to sit back and let you discourage her just so you can grab the job. I don't care if you are wearing a more boilerplate than Iron Man these days. You sure you're not going to bully anyone while I'm around? By the way, I absolutely love this this armor. And so Captain America's like, hey, that's enough. And Thor's like, mind your tongue, She-Hulk. And you can see him hitting the gavel. So they moved on and said they would discuss it in the next meeting, and that she would let them know his decision by the next one. So the dad's like, he's still glad that he came to them to talk things out. And then there's a lot of words here, but essentially, um, they're saying, that she'd make a great leader, and she looks for excuses why she can't do it. But, like he says, you can go into business at any time, that kind of stuff. So part of the reason she wants to go business with her dad. So the next morning, here we have She-Hulk. So kind of funny here. She says, if I'd known the Avengers had glom onto such a great beach, I would have been back weeks ago. This may not be Malibu, but it's the best I've seen since I came east. So, and then here's the Black Knight kind of getting a workout, hacking at this boulder. So she asks how he's doing. He says, oh, fine. Just practicing a little precision swordmanship. So she claps him for what he's done. He ended up destroying that board. And so they talk a little bit about the situation, and Dr. Druid, of course, is nosy, so he kind of walks up to them, and suddenly this creature comes out, and She-Hulk jumps to get it, but goes right through it. And this is dual shades, probably some zipatones that were put in here to make it a little bit less than what the inking would have done. And so that creature, of course, was a projection of Dr. Druid, and he finds it very funny. And she's like, real funny. I enjoy a good gag as much as anyone, but watch your step. You might not like my sense of humor. So she walks away with him still smiling. So later, Captain Marvel is going to visit Moonstone, who's at the hospital after the events of Under Siege, which I have covered. I do have an Avengers playlist, so feel free to check it out. She tells Moonstone, or sorry, Moonstone tells her, "Did you come to gloat?" And she's like, "Moonstone, I didn't mean for you to." And then, of course, they get a recap. Um, Essentially, here, the Masters of Evil had them, and she can't believe that this is the way it ends. It's Baron Zemo's fault. If she'd been in charge, things would have turned out much more different, she says. But she lets her know that it is her fault that she broke her neck. She's the one that panicked and went down that cliff. And she wouldn't be a good leader because she just blames someone else. And she says, goodbye, you'll heal, but with your attitude, you'll never be well. So she thinks, met people like her, they want flash and glory, but they don't want the responsibilities. And that visiting Moonstone was a waste of sympathy. And there are probably better things that she could have done. So she visits um, Hercules, who had is in a coma during this time. Love this external here, just showing the hospital kind of looking from out. And so he hasn't been responsive. He was just beaten up by the oh my goodness gracious, the wrecking crew. Of course, he's chauvinistic, and she wonders what he would think of another woman leading the Avengers. So she leaves, but he begins to awaken and speaks in Greek. He is, after all, a Greek god. So we get to an abandoned oil rig in the Gulf of Mexico where she used to work. So we're gonna get a recap of her origin. Feel free. I'm not gonna read all this. Feel free to go into that Marvel database if you'd like to um, learn more about her origin. So so basically how she ended up becoming the new Captain Marvel. Very nice panel here. Love it. So this issue doesn't have too much action. It's basically a lot of introspective and a lot of should I, shouldn't I, that kind of stuff. Um, but she's already feeling the pressures, and she's not even the she hasn't even accepted that job yet. So um, love the screen tones here with a little bit of the ink on the side. Oh, it's just so cool. Um, they do this with Iron Man too. Bob Layton especially does a lot of screen tones. So there was a collapse in one of the caverns, and Captain America is joining the effort to try and rescue the people. And Captain Marvel has come to see if she can be of help. And that there are 7 people that are lost somewhere in the dark. So, and here are the people. And so Captain Marvel finds them and helps move them out of the way. You can see Captain America. There's another quake. This is the Appalachians, but I don't know. That's okay. Doesn't mean they don't get earthquakes, but so they go down, and so Captain America needs to think fast, but here comes Captain Marvel, and Captain America is gonna help him, and list one of the kids first. Then they're gonna work on the second, and now the third, and so why can't she use her power? Maybe she, because she become intangible, maybe. I think so. So she uses her power. She can't help the kid. So um, Captain America is able to get her. Captain Marvel falls, but of course she's got her powers, so she's okay. And so everyone's been rescued, and they interview them, or they want to interview. And so here's the mom, and thank Captain America says, "Thank you for showing up." So she says um, that he's lucky that she showed up when she did. Otherwise, the kids might not, might not have been able to get the kids. And she says, "The luck was in you being around, Cap. I came here looking for you." He says, "Why? I need to talk to you. I've been trying to decide if the constant pressures of leadership are worth it. But I just got my answer. If your nomination still stands, I accept. A wise decision, Madam Chairwoman." And so we get um, to the end here, and we get a figure meant to look like Thor. So it could be Thor, it could not, but it could be. And it says Hercules. And poor misbegotten fool, is this what has become of you? And grabs Hercules. And here's the um, sensors going off. And she looks and says, "Good heavens, someone is kidnapping Hercules." And next issue, the fate of Jarvis. We're actually going to look at Avengers 281. However, uh, 280 is a fill-in story. We're not going to concern ourselves too much with it. We're just going to look. So, first of all, good cover. This story deals with Jarvis, who had been beaten up. And I'm just going to, before we move on to 281, which is what we're going to cover today, I just wanted to give you a quick thing here. So I'm just going to kind of read the first page here. So the story is called Faithful Servant. "Mr. Jarvis, I'm afraid the tests confirm my diagnosis. The damage to the optic nerve in your left eye is irreversible. We expect 90% vision loss. Your leg injuries are healing, although you may need a walker." And then it came for quite some time. And so doctor's talking, and so Jarvis is like, "And doctor, please don't hesitate. I am prepared." And so Bob Harris is just writing this story. Like I said, it looks like the regular team needed some time, so this is kind of a fill-in issue. So Kyle Baker is the inker, whom I absolutely adore. I am a huge fan of Kyle Baker. He has such a beautiful thick line that he uses. So basically throughout most of this time we get a flashback of the he was beaten up by Mr. Hyde, and you can see the Masters of Evil. I have covered that in the Under Siege. So we're getting to move to the Assault on Olympus stuff, but like I said, we're just gonna deal with this. Tony come visits him, and so they're gonna reminisce about the old days, but how he's dealing the first time he met him, all these kind of things. You can see the original, how he met Thor, just the Hulk. So that's what this story is sort of about. Like I said, I just figured it was kind of cool just to show it, because it said the fate of Jarvis, and I didn't want to start an issue with so I just kind of wanted to cover it real quick here. You can see it's just going through all the different iterations, kind of like a brief history of the Avengers. And so, and essentially this is a Avengers And that's his mom. So all the stuff he's had to deal with. So and so, like I said, we're not really covering it very much. Just the first page and the last page is kind of what I wanna get to. So you can see this is um, nothing too exciting. It's all just reminiscing. And so, love the inking. Absolutely love the inking. Um, Great stuff. So, love the inking. And so, he takes a look at himself, um, picks up the phone, and says, Mr. Stark, good evening, it's Jarvis. Yes, I've made up my mind. As soon as my rehabilitation is finished, I should like to report back to work. You should know better than most, sir. You really can't go on without me. Or sorry, things really can't go on without me now, can they? So, and so I just kind of wanted to cover. It's pretty. It's a neat little issue here. But the meat, what we really wanted to get to is 281. Here we go. So, um, we see our regular team is returning. John Buscema and Tom Palmer Jr. Tom Palmer is one of the most unique um, inkers. Rest in peace, both of them. The writer is still with us. So, all right. Yesterday, an Avenger was kidnapped from room 708 of New Hope Memorial Hospital, and this nurse is like, "It happened so quickly," and She-Hulk just holding this thing. Just what is your gizmo supposed to do, Knight, besides flatten my shoulder? And he says the probe amplifies any signs of radiation ion trails and the like that might have been left by the kidnapper, She-Hulk, but there's nothing here, nothing at all. Nor are there any psychic traces. Whoever kidnapped Hercules somehow erased all evidence of his presence. And Captain America's like, try to remember, Nurse Richards, was there anything distinctive about the kidnapper? And she's like, I'm sorry, Captain America. It's like I told the police. I was at the nurse's station down the hall. I caught only a glimpse of the man on video monitor. He was carrying Hercules out the window. This man, what did he look like? What was he wearing? I'm not certain, Captain Marvel. The monitor wasn't very clear. I think he was wearing a cape, but I know he was bigger than... Oh my god! Over there, it's him. By God's betrayed, and we get Thor here. He's the one who kidnapped Hercules. By the way, if you're confused as to why he's wearing that, check out I'm covering Walt Simonson's Thor run. So, I love this armor. They have yet to release this armor as an action figure. I want this armor to be released. It is so cool. So, we get our credits here. Roger Stern writes, John Buscema pencils, and Tom Palmer inks. And Captain America says, you must be mistaken. This is Thor. He's an Avenger. And she's like, I don't care who he is. I'm telling you, the kidnapper wore a cape and a winged hat just like his. I'm sure it was him. And so Thor says, then 'twas an impostor, milady. The son of Odin has long been a friend to Hercules. I grieve for the injuries he suffered at the hand of our foes. And so, of course, I have covered that. Thor couldn't have abducted Hercules. He was with us yesterday. Oh, yeah? You're sure about... You know where he was every minute? What madness is this? I came hence to help find Hercules, not to stand accused of. He says, as he sees a shadowed figure. And he says, what the? Stand aside, Avengers. The god of thunder shall see this mystery solved. and he goes out the window. So Captain Marvel follows him. I always make the disclaimer. Yes, Monica Rambeau was Captain Marvel during this time. So he's attacking a tree. He's like, "Scoundrel, you shall not escape me for long." And she's like, "Easy, Thor. Taking out your anger on a tree won't do Hercules any good. I intended to smite more than a mere tree, Marvel. Did you not see?" And he's like, "No, of course not. You didn't. No human eyes could." And so the rest of the Avengers show up. He's like, "What's up, Thor? You lit out of that room as if you'd seen your worst enemy." And Thor says, great panel here, great pose. "But you may not be far from wrong. I suspect I know who stole away with the hapless Hercules." "Who? Say what you're saying. I go where none may follow. I'm sorry, Avengers, but this is no affair for mere mortals." And they're like, "Hey." And so Captain America says, "You should go see what's wrong with him." And she says, "Get the others back to the Quinjet. I'm going to talk to our Asgardian friends." And she's like, "I don't care if Thor's a founding member. That's no excuse for taking team matters into his own hands. If he knows something about Hercules, I want to know too." So he isn't the only this isn't the only thing Thor's held back from us. He hasn't said much about that new suit of armor he's been wearing the last few weeks, but it seems to be shielding a recent injury, which I am covering on the Thor run. And he goes, "What do you want, Golden One?" "Just a little straight talk, Thor. I don't buy the no business for mortals riff. Hercules disappeared. Disappearance concerns us all. You know not of what you speak, Captain. I'm certainly won't if you don't tell me. I cannot. It is a matter for gods alone." And she's like, "The Avengers came to the aid of your Asgardian friends against Surtur's demons. If we could handle that," and of course that was way back in Avengers 350 to 353. I did not cover the Avengers 249 one. This is a different matter entirely. You must travel. Oh, trust me, Marvel. I shall return with Thor, or not at. Oh, sorry, with Hercules, or not at all. So Captain Marvel says, "Gone. He whipped up some sort of space warp around himself. What is wrong with him? Can't he see what he's doing? Hercules did exactly the same thing, ignoring the other Avengers and bullying ahead on his own. That stunt landed him in the hospital. I thought Thor was smarter than that." So she flies down. "No need to hurry, folks. Thor lost me." "What? How'd he do that?" And so says here as Captain Marvel begins to explain. So now we have some thoughts from Dr. Druid. "We're drawing too many stares. The public shouldn't see the Avengers discuss internal matters. If nothing else, it is bad form." Reaching out with his powerful mind, Dr. Druid subtly altered the perceptions of the people in the immediate area. And you can see now everybody sort of looks normal. Here, Captain America, Captain Marvel, Black Knight, Dr. Druid, and She-Hulk, and some dude carrying a boombox. People, you don't know what the 80s and the 70s are like when people just put on their headphones, their AirPods or their Beats, and walk around and their phone gives them the music. Back then, people actually carried a stereo system in their freaking shoulder and basically blasted the music. So good times. So, and I like how he's, everybody else is kind of looking, and Dr. Druid looks just stare. I don't know whether that was intentional or by accident, but he just warped away. No explanation. None. I'm not at all happy about it. I don't blame you, Captain Marvel. Thor often deals with things beyond our worlds, but that's no excuse for keeping us in the dark. I can't imagine why he'd do such a thing unless His stepbrother Loki is behind Hercules' abduction. That would explain a lot. Thor's always tried to shield people from Loki's schemes. We shouldn't. So Dr. Druid says we shouldn't overlook the possibility that Thor may be more directly involved. The duty nurse did identify him. And Captain America bites back. Just a minute, Druid. I've known Thor a long time. He wouldn't kidnap the comatose man from his bed. And Captain Marvel retorts, can we be sure, Cap? Thor hasn't been himself lately. So, She-Hulk is still carrying that thing. This discussion could last all day and still gets us nowhere. I'd like an Italian ice. Yes, ma'am. What flavor? Do you have cherry? So they sell snow cones in Puerto Rico. A lot of places. We call them piraguas. And here's some of those scream tones, half tones that are used. Just they always find, and then of course here's some, and then there's some cutting that they did on the tones. I don't mean to cast aspersions, Captain, but we can't account for all of Thor's time yesterday. What if he were compelled to act against his will, perhaps under some spell, says Dr. Druid, and She-Hulk's like, yak, yak, yak. So that's something to think about, Cap. Didn't the Enchantress once set Thor against the Avengers? And She-Hulk's like, all this talk solves nothing. We need action, not words. We need to strike out at our enemies. I'm with you, She-Hulk. And so, good panel. I love these panels like this with just... you're schooled in that sort of thing, Dr. Druid. You tell me, if Thor were under a spell, wouldn't there be some kind of sign? And the Black Knight says, Cap, I'm getting a sign now, as he looks. And it doesn't look good. And there is She-Hulk. Kill! I love this. Egad. It's like, yikes. Egad. Oh, that's so 40s and 50s. And so she throws that box and she's kill, kill. She-Hulk, she's gone crazy. I have a better question, Cap. How do we stop her? And here you can see that Ice Cream Man was the one responsible. It worked like a charm. Nice to see I still have my touch. Again, these are screen tones here. Jennifer, stop. Something's making you do this. Don't fight it. I'm sorry, don't fight us. Fight it. And she's still like, kill. She acts as she's been drugged. Her eyes are glazed. Probably didn't understand a word I said. Sorry, Jen, but I can't let you run amok. And she energizes her. That lightning melted the lamppost right out of She-Hulk's hand, but she's still standing. Still standing. Lady, she's ripping apart the street. This is a war zone. Let's get out of here. And so Dr. Druid's like, this is a supernatural agent. Oh, sorry. There is a supernatural agent behind the She-Hulk's madness. One quite unlike anything I have ever encountered. If we cannot uncover its source, we may all be doomed. Meanwhile, in a reality far removed from that of Earth, the great plaza of High Olympus, at last I have arrived. 'Tis here I should find the answer to Hercules' abduction. Long has it been since I was last in the land of Hercules, forbears. The great city lies ominously quiet, her streets empty. This bodes most ill. If Zeus too has fallen. But hold, there flies the cowardly object of my search, Hermes. He's the one that she had seen, that she thought was Thor. When I spied him outside Hercules' hospital room, he evaded my chase, but I shall not lose him again. And you can see Thor's reaching out to him. And Hermes is like, what? Hermes is Greek, and Mercury is Roman. The Romans just basically took the Greek gods and renamed them. So, this way, Prince of Thieves. What know you of the abduction of Hercules? Speak, says Thor. I was the one who spared him from the mortal's place of healing. Why? What possessed you to? And he goes, ah, and he's hit. I face me full, Thunder God. It is not the wish of uh, Hephaestus to smite you from behind. So Hephaestus is the oh my goodness, he made the weapons. So he was like the blacksmith. The Roman equivalent of Hephaestus was Vulcan. So Thor's like, Hephaestus, the Olympian armorer, have all of Hercules' half brothers gone mad? I find no pleasure in this, Odin's son, but you have interfered in the mission of Hermes, and so must you fall. You have but struck the first blows, fire god. It is Thor who shall strike last. And so Hermes is running away here. Olympus resounds with a clamor, rivaling the rage of Zeus himself. Would that I could aid my brother, but I must not. I have my orders. I cannot stop until the Avengers know defeat. So, back on Earth here. So, She-Hulk screams and falls. She took enough juice to light up Shreveport. I hope it brought her to her senses. Any more might kill her. So, Jenny's still like, kill, kill. Oh no, Dr. Druid, we need you. Say no more, Captain. Hear me, She-Hulk. This rage is not of your making. Let my will strengthen your will. You can reject the madness. You must reject it. And of course, that guy's still there. Doc, what happened? Relax. An unearthly agent has clouded your mind. You must totally dispel it. And so he says, this Dr. Druid is quite talented. Given time, he might actually help her overcome my elixir of frenzy. That will never do. Ignore the bearded man, my lovely green one. He is your enemy, and you know what we do to enemies, don't you? And so she's back to kill. Good Lord, that punch would have taken my head off. And Captain America jumps at her again. Love the screen tones here. Run for it, Druid. I'll try to keep her busy. Busy, ha ha ha. If nothing else, Hercules' misfortune has given me more opportunities for amusement than I've had in centuries. So, Captain America tries to contain She-Hulk, but the Black Knight grabs the guy. Hold it, fella. I want some answers from you. Everyone cleared out of this area except for us and you. You're the one who gave She-Hulk that ice. What did you do? Drug her? Most observant, Black Knight, says the guy. You Avengers are endlessly entertaining. And he's like, what? So he threw me off like a dog shedding water. What are we up against? And so, love that they showed this little bit of Captain America here. And so, heads up, Cap, as he jumps and kicks her from behind. So, you're right, Doctor. From the way he sent the knight flying, this is obvious. It's obvious this is no ordinary threat. And so, turns out it was another of the Greek gods. I don't believe this. He is wholly of the earth, Captain. And so she starts to recover. But before the Avengers can draw another breath, all three of them are knocked in their feet by Hermes. So he's back on Earth. Moving almost faster than the eye can follow, the messenger of the gods streaks straight for Captain Marvel, who evades his blow by transforming her physical mass into light at the last possible instant. Reacting nearly as quickly, Hermes escapes certain impact. So, and she's there to meet him. And he's like, how? And she's like, nothing moves faster than light. So, at the same time, Hephaestus is a mighty opponent. Still, I would have humbled him by now were it not for Hela's curse that my bones be brittle and incapable of healing. So, Thor 374. I have a Thor playlist. Feel free to check those issues out. I'm covering Walter Simonson's run. Had I not forged this armor to hold together my shattered bones, I scarce could move for the pain. And so he hits Hephaestus with Mjolnir in his ankle. A plague upon your house, Thunderer. You have shattered my golden boot. 'Twas all that protected my crippled leg. You are truly lame. I'm sorry, I did not know that. Never take pity on your enemies. Think not to sway me with your false pity, Asgardian. I have sworn to defeat you, and defeat you I shall, and hits him. You can see Thor writhing in pain. You wrong me, Hephaestus. I have known the burden of lame. Pain is no stranger to me, but still I persevere. How touching is he said from behind. There was no need for that. He had been disabled. There is no honor in this. Time will decide what is honorable, Hephaestus. For now, all that matters is the downfall of the Avengers. Yes, as you say. But I like this not, says Hephaestus. On the rooftops of New York. You are quite unlike any mortal I have ever seen. Truly, you are an opponent worthy of Hermes. How sad that you must die. Don't be so sure of yourself, Avengers. Aren't all that easy to kill, she says, as the arrow, did it hit her or went through her? And so it caused, says here, no sooner had the silver arrow passed through her than Captain Marvel's physique is wrecked with sudden explosive pain. Unable to endure any more, she drops to the rooftop, her living light yielding once more to flesh and blood. Her form, given flesh, is most striking. If only we could have met in happier times under friendlier circumstances. Really, Hermes, do you think she would have so willingly fallen into your arms had I not rendered her unconscious? I will never know, Artemis. That is the tragedy. There is no cause to, because Maudlin, a beauty she may be, but mortal beauty is fleeting. Besides, she is an avenger, and therefore our enemy. And you can see the arrow is returning to her. And so on the streets, decidedly Greco-Romanesque attire, and hard as nails despite his rotundity, meaning he's fat. Pulse is strong and even, this man isn't unconscious. Seen through my little charade, have you? Marvelous, as he grabs him. I'll introduce myself. I am Dionysus. Oh my gosh, I cannot say it. Dionysus. Though some mortals call me Bacchus. Dear me, is my grip too much for you? And he starts to laugh. Laugh this off, fat boy. And she hits him. And he lands in there. He gets back up very spry. Very good indeed, my dear. But as you can see, I've lost none of my youthful resilience. Shall we try again? I don't know what happened to that speed demon who KO'd Cap and the Knight, but you're still here. And you're the one who slipped me that frozen wacky juice. I'm just going to see how high you'll bounce. As you wish, but first a toast. You won't have time to drink it. But it's not for me, it's for you. And he breathes on it so that the fumes get her. And she falls down. Was that necessary? Says, oh, what was her name? Artemis? She would have made for such an interesting hunt. And so now all the Avengers are there. So She-Hulk says, Thor, what are you doing here? And where are we? And he says, Olympus. home to the children of the mighty Zeus. 'Tis these four of his unworthy offspring who did treacherously conspire to overcome us and bring us hence. All which remains all which remains is a single maddening question: why? You play innocent well, Odin's son, but we will not be deceived by the protestations of you or your mortal collaborators. Eris, says Thor. Eris, of course, is the god of war, who in Roman would be Mars. I suspected that you were the instigator of this villainy, war god. What new mad schemes have you started? This was not my planning, Asgardian, but I carried out the will of... And suddenly you see here, silence. The time of judgment has come. And so here is Zeus. Here lies my son Hercules. By the way, Hercules is Roman. It's Heracles, I believe, in Greek. Though his body be strong and vital, he is robbed of movement and of will. His mind suffers the most grievous of wounds, wounds incurred in the company of those who called themselves Avengers. Know ye, Avengers, that you shall pay for the calamity which has claimed my son. You shall be punished, and that punishment shall be death by torment. Such is the will of Zeus. We are looking at Avengers, number 282 from 1987, by Roger Stern and John Buscema, with Tom Palmer as your inker. Tom Palmer is one of the most unique inkers that there is out there. He just has such a unique, and that's not to say other inkers don't, but you just look at Tom Palmer and you just automatically know it's him, and his use of screen tones and halftones, and oh my goodness, he puts them everywhere. Absolutely amazing stuff. So he's an incredible inker, and so this run of Avengers, my biggest problem with it was Namor. I am not a huge Namor guy. I find him like DC's Aquaman. I don't get it. I'm just not. I don't like the characters. I don't know. The whole Atlantis thing or whatever. So, there's an earthquake. They say a seaquake, but it's still an earthquake. And so we're in Atlantis, and he's married to this Marina. What was her name? Marina, who I think was from Alpha Flight, if I'm not. And so he is the wife of Namor. I find Namor's costume stupid too. And Aquaman's costume's not so. It was stupid during the 90s, but Aquaman, I don't know. These water these heroes from the waters, just I don't know. They're not for me. So all right. So everything's falling on other people. Namor's helping his people out. And so Marina, I really don't know, and probably don't really care. So Namor says, the quake's intensity is building, Marina. That is something there is something unnatural about this. I've never seen quakes in this area before. Namor, the Atlantean refugees are fleeing. Their encampment was less stable than our own dwelling. They flee for their lives. You're in the water, for the goodness gracious. Why are you fleeing? Just swim. All right. They gave up their homes, joined me in exile, rather than submit to the tyrannical rule of Atuma. I must save them or die trying. Hold, Namor, go ye no further. And we can see the trident coming through. Father Neptune, you caused this quake. Why? And he says, silence. None may question the will of the gods, not even he who is the avenging sun. And he grabs him. Namor, yells Marina. Forget him, woman. He is no longer yours. His fate is sealed as he goes through and takes Namor with him and then seals the crack. And see all the screen tones here. Just, um, I love Tom Palmer Jr. So we're now in Hades or Hell. Um, Remember that these are the Greek gods. So, um, this guy says, halt, who dares disturb the sticks? Do not speak in those tones to me, monster. All waters are mine to command. Cerberus begs your forgiveness, Lord Neptune. So that was Cerberus. All right. As well you should. I bring a captive for your master, the half-breed prince of Atlantis. Good. He has been eagerly awaited. So, again, look at all these screen tones. Different ones. If you notice, he has been different ones. Look how he uses it for shading just in this half, but then leaving none over here. So, and then different ones over here. He is just a screen tone machine. Rest in peace. Unfortunately, both the penciler and the inker for this series are no longer with us, but and John Buscema was so good as well. It's just that Tom Palmer Jr. Just adds such a he's so different. He's just such a different inker. Just in his style, I wouldn't even know how to describe it. It's just when you see his inks, they're unrecognizable. It's recognizable. You see his inks and you automatically know who it is. So Neptune says here, Cerberus, while in my presence, do not take too much pleasure in your work. Were it not for my covenant with Zeus, I would not have agreed to this. The Submariner is a noble man. He deserves better. This bodes ill for all Atlantis. 'Twas ever prophesied that Namor would lead his people to the forefronts of all nations. Prophecies are of what might be, not of what will be. They are made to be broken. Now, by your leave, I must go. Lord Pluto awaits. So, remember, these are Greek, so we're using the Greek names. I believe Hades is in Roman, and then Pluto is in Greece. Or maybe it is, or maybe we found an error. So yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Hades in Greek, and Pluto is the Romans. So anyway, regardless. So Namor begins to wake, and so so the Submariner awakes. Struggle is useless, Avenger. No mortal can escape my grasp. And Namor says that he's no mere mortal. Again, look at the screen tones used. What? Come back, you loathsome toad. Come back. You dare not defy me. There's much I will dare, giant. And so they fight a little bit, and here Cerberus tries to squash Namor, but Namor pushes him away and goes in the water, and he Cerberus laughs again. Look at the screen tone. This is different. This one's going down. And he laughs again. Says, the fool, he's doomed himself. He'll find no refuge in the river, only death. And so these creatures go to try and get him, but Namor is going to fight them, and that's where he realizes that he's in hell. So So he's going to go up, but now it's fire. So just not his day. Again, look at all the screen tone. I'm just impressed. But um, Namor gets up and kind of starts to. He wonders if he's dead, and here's someone says, "There is no delusion, Namor. Sad to say, nor has life yet abandoned you. My my policies restored your injured flesh. I don't know what that is." And he says, "What are you? That is unimportant. Trust that you have nothing to fear from me. My power is limited in the netherworld, but I can tell you that you were brought here to join your friends in captivity." And he says, "My friends," and this person here says, "The Avengers. They're being held within yonder walls. Behold!" And so we see this castle here, the Fortress Tartarus. So he tells them that the Avengers are in there. And Namor says, "Why are they so imprisoned? How do you know all this?" And he begins to disappear. "I can say no more. The fate of the Avengers now depends on you. Do not fail them, Namor. Do not fail." And he disappears. And so he breaks in here and quickly dispatches these two. Great use. John Buscema, like I said, he's the artist on how to draw the Marvel way. So if you see some of these type of poses, that's him. So he uses the armor, but he's still barefooted. That's just funny. And here's Captain America and Doctor Druid, who are apparently being tortured. Then he sees the other Avengers, Black Knight and She-Hulk, and you can see one of we'll just call him Pluto because that's what they called him here. One of his henchmen holding Captain America's shield. Again, some more screen tones here. So this guy's gonna slit Black Knight's throat, but Namor interferes and uses Captain America's shield. Man, what a master of the. And I think that's part of the thing. Other people use screen tones before, and it's not just that his inks are very unique, but it's so recognizable just based on the sheer amount of screen tones that he used all the time. And just look at that. He used this one and used this one, and then still here, and then here he uses another one. I mean, God. So, of course, Black Knight recognizes the voice. And so he's going to use the sword, but it disappears. Of course, it's the Black Knights. And She-Hulk dispatches of the others. And so he's going to cut Captain America first, but she says, nope, get Captain Marvel. And so there goes the Black Knight. And he frees Captain Marvel, who was Monica Rambeau during this era. And what I like about the screen tone, look how it's going from I don't know, thick to lighter. So and then finally Dr. Druid and Captain America says that Thor is still missing. And Namor says, "Thor was with you as well. What power could have consigned such a team of Avengers to Hades?" And which is hell. And Captain America is kind of surprised he didn't know that he was there. And so we get a bit of a recap. I have a playlist of the Avengers, so feel free to check it out so I don't have to go through all this. But essentially, they're being punished for oh my goodness, Hercules' injuries. So yeah, like I said, this part has already been um and so sorry. So we're not really recapping. We're filling kind of what happened, how they ended up here, because the issue ended with them I I apologize. The issue had ended with them being in front of Zeus. So now we're seeing what led up to them being imprisoned in hell. So Captain America says, with all due respect, sirs, the Avengers are not at fault. Hercules was warned that our enemies were laying in wait, but he wouldn't listen. And of course, Zeus says, lies. I have learned how Hercules suffered your taunts and your torments. I will not hear the lies of mortals. And Thor says, by the way, this is I have been waiting for this Thor to be made into an action figure. He is here because I'm covering the Thor run with Walt Simonson. If you have any questions and would like to see, but basically, Hela cursed him, so his bones are brittle, so they'll break easily. The son of Odin has long been friend to the headstrong Hercules, my lord. You will you believe the truth if it comes from my lips? Art thou truly the son of Thor, or some scheming impostor? The Thor known to me has no need of armor such as yours, but impostor or not, any Asgardian so servile to mortals must be suspect. And Thor snaps out. He says, the god of thunder, is servile to no one. Have taunts now replaced the thunderbolt of Zeus? Perhaps you are the impostor. And so, you dare doubt my father, Asgardian? I shall. And Thor punches him and says, you shall do nothing, Ares. And so Zeus uses his power here and says, enough, I will tolerate no more. There yet be Avengers missing from amongst our captives. They must be found. None of the guilty must escape my judgment. So then we're basically caught up here now. So Namor says, if only I hadn't been away from the Avengers ranks, Hercules might not have been injured. This might never have happened. And Black Knight says, you're not to blame, Namor. This is all due to Olympian bullheadedness. We have to find Thor. He could be anywhere, says Captain America. And Dr. Druid says, with all due respect, Captain, I believe we face a more immediate problem. So here comes the guards of hell. And so the Avengers fight. So as you can see, the Avengers, I don't need to read kind of everything that's going on, but you can just see that the Avengers are dispatching the enemies here. So here we have Pluto, who is really Hades, but anyway, he's got Thor all squashed here. So lots of squashing. So it has been centuries since Brother Zeus allowed me any new subjects to do with as I wish. Having you at my mercy is a treat far sweeter than this honeyed wine, Asgardian. You've interfered with all too many of my plans. So then comes Cerberus here, and he says, there's one fewer Avenger for us to bother with, Lord Pluto. In trying to escape me, the Submariner vanished into the Styx. By now he is much food for the river beast. And he said, and Pluto here says, what, Cerberus, you idiot? The Submariner is amphibious. If anyone could survive the Styx, it is he. He is too dangerous to be on the loose, even in Hades. Find him at once. And Namor says, look no further. So Namor strikes Cerberus. And I think She-Hulk is hitting Pluto or the side of. So I think I think she's hitting him. Hit him high, I'll hit him low. So all right. And so the Black Knight throws his ebony sword and cuts that block that was holding Thor, and Captain Marvel breaks the chains. And Thor here's like, I didn't never dream that when the son of Odin would need to be rescued. How my stepbrother Loki would crow to see me helpless I've become. So Captain America helps him up, asks if he's alright, and Thor says, no, Captain, I am not. The death goddess Hela has put a curse upon me, rendering my bones brittle and unable to heal, while granting me life eternal, so that I would have no escape from the pain. In recent days I have known agony beyond imagining. I created this armor to hold together my shattered body, that I might still function as befits the son of Odin. I regret I did not tell you all this before. And so Pluto here says, "What a pity, Thor. Had I known, I would have sooner arranged to make your stay even in my domain even more painful." And so, "Back, Avengers," says Thor. "The power of the Lord of the Netherworld is second only to that of Zeus himself." And She-Hulk's like, "Seems like to me that we've done okay so far." And he says, "Fool, in this realm I am supreme sovereign. I could obliterate you all with a gesture. But that would be too merciful. Zeus has sentenced you to death by torment, a punishment I shall gladly grant you." So he begins to shoot at the Avengers, but Captain Marvel kind of hits them. You can see kind of opening the ground. So tells the Avengers to retreat. So, and She-Hulk blocks their exit so that, well, so that they can't follow in. So Pluto says, "Call out my armies, release the war wagons. I want the Avengers." And so so the Avengers are continuing to dispatch, kind of making their ways through hell. So Captain America says, "We need to return to Olympus." And Thor says, "There is but one way, the pathway of infinity. Yon golden bridges stretch across the dimensional abyss which separates Hades from the home of the gods." So, and so off goes the Avengers. And so they begin going across the way. And She-Hulk says, "There's a rumble." Look at him. He's got this awesome tank here. That is awesome. So he shoots toward the middle to destroy, so the Avengers can't make it across. And so Dr. Druid says, "It appears we've reached an impasse." "No, I can jump the gap, I think, and Namor can fly it. We'll get you all across." And Thor says, "There is no time to save all. Pluto's hordes will be upon us in moments. Unless one of us holds them off, I am the one he wants most. The rest of you go on." And Captain Marvel's like, "No, Thor, we're not abandoning anyone to Pluto." And Thor says, "I cannot dissuade you, then, so be it. Though every demon in Hades rises against us, let the netherworld rock with the power of the Avengers." And so the Avengers, I'm sorry, there is no escape, Avengers. You will be mine. And next, to whom the gods would destroy. Avengers 283 from 1987. Roger Stern, John Buscema, and Tom Palmer Jr. on the inks. Tom Palmer is one of the most unique, and I'm sorry, not Tom Palmer Jr., just regular Tom Palmer. Is one of the most unique inkers out there. And look at all this screen tone that he uses. He's got screen tones here in the background, and these straight lines are all screen tones, and then this is a screen tone. So this dude does a lot of screen tones, trying to here. He's got screen tones here, and then over here uses a whole different one. So, and so whom the gods would destroy is the name of our story here. And the Avengers are in hell. So, the Greek hell, of course, Hades. John Buscema here. Love this here. If you can, I don't know if you can notice on Namor's here, but the line never even went through. Look at this. It just right here. It still got colored correctly, but the line didn't even go through. So, all right. Here's our credits: Roger Stern, John Buscema, and Tom Palmer. So Thor here who's I wish to God they would release an action figure with this armor. It has yet to be released. They have released every version of Thor, just about it, except this one. I'm so sad about it. I can't wait till it comes out. So, Thor here says, "So be it. Though every demon in Hades rises against us, let the netherworld rock with the power of the Avengers." So you can see here that the Avengers are ready to face off against. Is it? So it's Hades is. Uh, you have to excuse me between Greek and the Romans. I think Hades is Greek. Um, and Hades would be the god who in the Roman would be Pluto, but they're essentially the same dude here. So, um, I don't know. They kind of keep going back and forth. I think Pluto is. I thought it was. I thought Pluto was the Roman. Regardless, doesn't matter here. So he says here, there is no escape, Avengers. My hordes will slay you where you stand, and I shall drag your souls back into my domain. For all eternity, you will be mine. And Captain Marvel says, in a pig's eye, during this time, Monica Rambeau was the Captain Marvel. And so you can see her hitting his little tank here, and then it explodes. The power source in these super tanks, or whatever they are, is pretty heavy duty stuff. But now that I figured out how to overload it, as she flies out, and look at all this screen tone here. Back then, they didn't have a computer to do it. This all had to be done manually. So, I can discourage Pluto's army from lending support to the front lines. Then maybe the Submariner will have a chance to fly the other Avengers across the broken span to safety. Safety, that's a laugh, she says. The only thing waiting for us at the upper end of this impossible bridge is a city full of superpowered immortals, and they're the ones who sent us to Hades in the first place. But we have to go there. We have to make it to Olympus. Staying down here is certain death, maybe even for Thor, she continues here. So, and Pluto's not happy. On your feet, accursed ones. I'll grant a year's peace in blessed Elysium for each one who slays an Avenger. And so, death to the Avengers. Look at the screen tone again. He's using the straight lines, which is pretty cool. The other guy says death, and Submariner's like, never, no matter what your numbers or how great your power, the Submariner shall never yield. And Captain America using his shield to smash his face here. That's the spirit, Namor. Don't hold back, any of you. It sounds crazy, but these spirit troops aren't really alive. They can't be killed, but they can be stopped. And the Black Knight says, Cap, you mean we're fighting ghosts? That's weird. And he says, what? You're the Black Knight. You use a magic sword, and you have the nerve to call this weird? Yes, She-Hulk, I do. And she continues here. Okay, it is kind of unreal. Maybe I should give Baldy here a taste of reality by, say, kicking his tail till his nose bleeds. And Pluto says, you think to make sport of me, woman? Ha! None may touch the person of Pluto, so long as the Hadean fires are mine to command. And so he's throws this fire at her, and she's like, whoa. Really cool. This art team is absolutely fantastic. So, and here's Dr. Druid, who I don't know why he's in the Avengers, but he is. Maybe Roger Stern can use anybody else. So, Thor here. My mortal friends fight valiantly. Even Dr. Druid, our newest Avenger, shows a physical prowess as adept as his powers of the mind. Only Thor is found lacking. My might checked by the pain visited me by the curse of Hela. That is in the Thor series by Walter Simonson, which I have a playlist of that because I love Walter Simonson as well. If only my hammer were firm in my grasp and not lost in Olympus, I would clear this bridge of our tormentors, curse or no. So, and then here comes Pluto here. It is beyond belief these Avengers evade the blows of my finest warriors. No matter, they cannot escape me. And so he throws energy out of this axe thing. They are cut off from the upper pathway, cornered before an infinite abyss, and here, by my power, shall they fall. And so Thor says, Heimdall's eyes, he seeks to crush us all. One side, Avengers. Though Hela has left my bones brittle and broken, 'tis good as guardian steel that she's my body. Yeah, that is a part of me. I shall not falter, he says as he struggles. When you guys look at this, I just want you to just look at all the screen tones that Tom Palmer adds. It is the inker who would add those screen tones. And like I said, this had to be done manually. And look, I mean, this dude just more than anyone else. A lot of people use screen tones. He's not the only one. But Tom Palmer really used them. I mean, everywhere. So, and in the beginning, Scott Williams, Jim Lee's inker, used it as well. Even Jim Lee used them when he inks himself. So, you hardly see anybody do this anymore. Even in computer, some people still use them, but a lot of people don't use screen tones anymore. They just color whatever. So, and so Thor continues, I shall prevail for the Avengers, for Asgard, and for honor eternal, he says, and throws out that piece, and it lands where it's right there. Incredible. Thor's wedged Pluto's dead fall trap into the breach in the pathway, but it won't hold forever. Avengers assemble, says Captain Marvel. She's the leader of the chairwoman, chairperson, whatever. Move it now. But what about Pluto? Let him get his own bridge, says Black Knight. And so, after them, for a chance to savor Elysium's pleasures, I'd even risk facing oblivion, which they do as they fall through. I don't get it. I was sure Pluto do more to stop us. There's no more he could do. Once we're on the upper pathway, his power above is limited by a millennia-old covenant with Zeus. He may rage, but he must leave us to the dangers beyond yon shimmering portal, says Thor. And so Thor continues, follow closely, Avengers, and fear not. These energies merely form a dimensional door. The only danger is from that which might lurk on the other side. And so they have now arrived. And so what are these horse creatures called? Centaurs, I think. Halt! None may enter Olympus unbidden? I don't know. Return whence you came. Blood of the Titans. These be the Avengers, he says. Impossible. No mortals can escape the netherworld. Believe what you will, Centaur. And attaboy, subby. Don't give him a chance to raise an alarm. So, a lot of times they use nicknames on characters. Some I get, like Spidey. But I mean, and I know they don't just want to, but I don't know, Subby. It's all right. Come on, let's go, says Captain Marvel. We're too vulnerable out in the open. Take the lead, Thor. You know Olympus better than we do. And Thor says, we cannot hide for long in this realm, but these woods should offer at least temporary refuge. And so Captain America says here, as long as we're in Olympus, we're outnumbered and outpowered. We must find a way to convince Zeus that he's wrong, that we're not responsible for Hercules getting injured. And Captain Marvel says, I can't understand why Zeus blames us in the first place. And the Black Knight says, yeah, for a guy who's supposed to be king of the gods, he's sure a long way from being all-seeing or all-knowing. And Thor chimes in. He is neither Dane Whitman, but Zeus was known in ancient eras for his fits of rage. So, this guy here goes, time has made him no more rational, Odin's son. And he says, who? Beware, Avengers, grave times are upon you. Hey, if it's a grave time you want, step over here and we'll give one to you. And Namor says, wait, She-Hulk, I know this stranger. He aided me when I was lost in Hades. He showed me where I could find you. Covered last issue. 'Tis true, I am a friend to all born of the earth. I bring not threats, but warnings. Yeah, or yea, I don't know. And I am a bringer of knowledge. Gaze upon these waters that ye might learn. And so we have Zeus here. How much longer, Apollo? When will you break Hercules from the grasp of his delirium? So he's showing him something through that water. I cannot say, Father Zeus. Love this. Just no pants. Just, the damage to his brain was most serious. It may prove beyond my power to heal. And Hercules says, no was, no more orders, no more abuse from mortals. Avengers must learn. And Zeus says here, rest, my son, rest your troubled mind. And Zeus continues here, the Avengers will be punished for what they have done to you, every one of them. And Apollo says, my pardon, sire, but have not the Avengers twice before come to the aid of Olympus? They helped Hercules overcome the usurper Typhoon. Those are way back in Avengers 50 and 100, which I did not cover. And they rescued our very race when a vile sorcery had turned us all to unliving crystal. I can scarce believe that they caused Hercules' sad condition. And then this is Ares. Apollo is much too trusting, father. It is obvious that the Avengers championed the cause of Olympus merely because it suited their purposes at the time. I was never fooled by so-called heroic acts of those craven mortals. And Apollo says, you are no one to call any craven, Ares. And that would be Mars in Roman. 'Twas by your cowardly acts that we were turned to crystal. I was not responsible. I had fallen under the spell of the Asgardian enchantress and a cursed sword. Again, issue 100. Do you deny that time and again you have sought to disrupt the peace of Olympus? I am the god of war, says Ares. I but seek to make our world more to my liking. If you cannot accept that, and finally Zeus has had enough. Silence! I will hear no more arguing amongst my children. I have decreed that all Avengers shall suffer for what has befallen your brother Hercules, and suffer they shall. All who claim the mantle of the Avengers shall know the tortures of Hades. And so this guy here says, do you still think you can convince Zeus that he is wrong, Captain America? And Black Knight says, Cap, that's the supreme ruler of Olympus, and he blames us for something we didn't do, solely on the delirious ravings of his son. And She-Hulk says, we can't just roll over and play dead. And, oh my gosh, I already forgot his name. Dr. Druid says, Dane has a point. A strategic retreat to Earth might be wiser for us. I agree with Dr. Druid. Again, look at the screen tones here. Awesome. Nay, Doctor, we cannot hope to approach that dimensional nexus linking Olympus and Earth unseen. Zeus would not hesitate to send his armies after us. So, that gentleman continues here. Yea, the rage of Zeus knows no bound, and Ares would leap at the chance to unleash his forces upon the earth. Mortal man would be helpless before such an onslaught. Better we should go down fighting here than let it happen, says She-Hulk. Agreed, there must be another way, says Captain Marvel. And Dr. Druid says, Zeus will never believe us, Captain. I doubt that even my mental abilities could persuade him. And Captain Marvel says, maybe not, but if we could win enough of the other gods over to our side, maybe they would intercede on our behalf. It's worth a try. And that mysterious gentleman says, a possibility for success does lie along that course, but your allies must be chosen with care. The children of Zeus are headstrong lot, and I can offer little help. And Black Knight says, what you're saying is we have to figure out which of Zeus' relatives are the least likely to fry us on the spot. And Captain America calls them out. Well, that's what it amounts to. Our chances range from slim to none. And Namor says, things are not as hopeless as you believe, Knight. I know of one Olympian at least who might be willing to listen. So, then this is Aphrodite, who is also known as Venus. I think Roger Stern is using both Greek and Roman because Aphrodite and Venus are. So, I don't know. It's hard to keep track because one is Roman and one is Greek, but he's using both. So, more pomegranates, my lady. Thank you, no, says Aphrodite. Whatever's that commotion? And you can see here, Mother beware. Sorry we roughed up your guard, Venus, but he wouldn't listen to reason, says Captain Marvel. We seek peace, Venus, and your help is needed to ensure it. Zeus would not be pleased to find you here. And Namor says, your father misjudged us. Will you support his error, or will you hear the plea of an old ally? And Venus says here, I well remember how you helped me stop the spread of Eris's wars, Namor. Speak, and I will listen. That was back in Submariner number 57. So, beneath the Olympian Plaza here, Hephaestus has Mjolnir here, and then this is Athena, and he is very fascinated with the hammer because it's made out of the mystic Uru, which is an Asgardian rock, and how hard it was to get the hammer there. So Athena says, so only Thor and Odin can lift the hammer, and Hephaestus says, no. There's an inscription that read, whoever holds this hammer, if he be worthy, shall possess the powers of Thor. And he says, if I can but channel my will, prove myself worthy of that power. Athena, I have done it. The hammer lifts free. But it wasn't. No. Mjolnir tears itself from my grasp like a thing alive. 'Twas never mine at all. And Thor says, it returns to the hand of its rightful owner. Thus the hammer's enchantment. Thus ever shall it be. And Hephaestus, of course, yells, the Avengers. And so, I know not how you escape Pluto's clutches, but you shall not leave these halls alive and free. Seize the intruders, my automatons. I grew up in Puerto Rico, and English actually is my second language, but I've been speaking it for years, so automatons, I don't know. What the? All the workers are golden women. And says the Black Knight, and Thor says, Hephaestus is an unequaled smith. He can endow unliving metal with the semblance of life. You're right, these aren't robots, but they're more like moving statues. Sorry, ladies, I hate to do this. And Dr. Druid says, they are deadly as they are beautiful, and they have no minds for me to mesmerize. No psyches to be deceived by mental illusions. If I am to survive, I must pit metal against metal. And you can see him kind of using his power to knock them out and sends them into that lava pit or molten metal. So, halt, giantess, lest you force me to smite you. Smite? Don't any of you guys ever just haul off and belt somebody here? I'll show you how it's done, says She-Hulk, and boom, as she hits him. And so Captain America is approached by these two, but he uses his moves and kicks them here. And Captain America just doesn't know how this all um, is going to work. He says, "How can we enlist the help of gods who won't give us a chance to state our case?" And so this thing of the molten metal breaks, and it's going to go toward the Black Knight. But here comes Captain America. And of course, Dr. Druid has his levitation powers. So She Hulk grabs Hephaestus, and Thor grabs Athena. So, so once they're safe, he says, "Now, milady, our battle may continue unless you're now more inclined to reason." And so Hephaestus says, "First the villains attack us, then they act to save us from injury. What trickery is this? Mayhap their entrance was not meant as an attack at all," she says. "I'm glad to hear you say it, Athena," and you see a lightning bolt. But it was Captain Marvel. "I'd always read that you were supposed to be a goddess of wisdom as well as warrior. You must believe me. There is no reason for us to be enemies." And so here comes Venus here by Namor. "The ebon-skinned one speaks true, my friends. There has been a horrible misunderstanding." Ah. And so, soon after, so Captain says, "So you see, Hercules ignored our warnings and blundered onto an ambush." And the Black Knight says, "The doctor suspected that Hercules had suffered some brain damage, but before they could fully treat him, Zeus took him to Olympus. There is a ring of truth to your tale, Hercules. Tale. Hercules has a long and colorful history of such blunders," says Athena. And Hephaestus says, "Of that there is no doubt, but how can we be certain?" And Venus says, "Hephaestus, I believe them. I know no mortal can lie to me. 'Tis true, but to oppose the will of Zeus," says Hephaestus. "Hey, we're not asking you to fight your old man, just to help talk some sense into him. That's right. And we want to help Hercules if we can," says Captain America. So Hephaestus says, "What? But 'twas because of Hercules' ravings that Zeus did condemn you all." And Thor says, "Hercules is not responsible for his words, and for all his shortcomings, he is still an avenger. Rhea, take me if I don't believe you." And Thor puts his arm there on his shoulder, but Hephaestus continues, "But it will take much to calm the rage of Zeus. We must enlist the support of Apollo." And Thor says, "Then lead us to Apollo, Hephaestus. We must see this wrong made right." And so off they go. And Eris is watching. And so here's Artemis, and this is the Wasp. "As you commanded, Father, I have brought you the mortal who calls herself Wasp, though her sting is unlike any I have ever seen. Well done, Artemis. We are most pleased," says Zeus. And of course, she's all weak here. And Zeus goes, "So, woman, you are the one who ordered my son about like a galley slave. You are the one who abandoned him to defeat. Yours must be the most awful punishment." And the Wasp says, "What? Please, I don't understand." And Eris says, "Father, our mortal foes make a mockery of your justice. They have broken free of Hades' bonds and now seek to turn your sons and daughters against you." And Zeus says, "You speak madness, Ares. Nay, sire, as we speak, the Avengers spin their web of lies in the hall of Apollo." And Captain Marvel says, "You must believe us, Apollo. Zeus has made a terrible mistake. A most serious accusations, mortals. In millennia past, such words alone would have cost you your lives. But this is not the past, Lord Apollo, and your father is not infallible, is he?" says Dr. Druid. "No, he is not, nor am I," he says. "For endless hours I have labored to heal my brother's wounds, but I cannot break him from the spell which has claimed his mind. At most, I can ease his delirium with sleep. Apollo, I command certain powers of the mind. If you would allow me, perhaps I can help him. Please, says Dr. Druid. And so Dr. Druid now attempts here and psychically goes, "Hear me, Hercules. I am a friend. I wish to help." And I love the drawing, how it's conveyed here. So everybody just watches quietly as Dr. Druid does his thing here. "Your other friends, your family, are here with us. Come to us, Hercules. Let your mind join with mine. Let me show you the way back." Again, love this drawing as well. So, and Zeus says, "What is the meaning of this?" And Ares says, "As I said, your unworthy children betray you. They have delivered Hercules into the hands of his mortal tormentors." And Captain America says, "No, Zeus, it's not like that at all. You must listen." And Zeus, angry, says, "You dare tell me what I must do, mortal? You who have defied my will." And he uses his powers, and you can see just knocks them out. So Captain Marvel is amazed at that. She's like, "Oh my God, Cap, he was the closest to Zeus. Is he? No, he's still breathing. His shield must have taken the worst of the blast." And Thor says, "His legs, a man with such fractures might never walk again." Namor says, "Cap, can you hear me? See to the others," he says. "Some of you yet stand. Must I wring the life from you one by one? Zeus, we did not come in search of war, but you have forced our hand," says Thor. "Olympus shall know our wrath." I love this panel here. "Yea, and you shall learn why we be called the Avengers." And so here we go. Miles across the immortal realm. At last it has come, the day I have dreaded for so long. The final battles between gods and man must begin now, and from such war there may be no victors. Next, Battleground Olympus. Avengers 284 from 1987. Look at that price back then, 75 friggin' cents. Yes, even with inflation, it's still cheaper than what it would be now. These comic books are getting out of control, which is why I only buy a few. I actually spend all my money buying keys online because it's cheaper than friggin' buying comic books that are going to end up at the dollar bin. So, all right. John Buscema and Tom Palmer are our artists. I love Tom Palmer. He is an incredible inker. Very a powerful inker. Rest in peace, both John Buscema and Tom Palmer. Roger Stern is still with us. So, we've got the Avengers fighting the Olympians. By the way, I am also covering Walter Simonson's run on Thor. And so this is actually ahead of that run where Thor is wearing this beautiful battle armor that Marvel has yet to release on action figure. They've released so many other things, but this beautiful armor is still yet to come out. So I'm not a huge fan of Namor the Submariner, but we're moving through. Beautiful cover. So, Battleground Olympus. Roger Stern, John Buscema, Tom Palmer are our team here. We've got Wasp here kind of coming through. As I mentioned before, I have a playlist. We got Captain America here saying, "Wake up, Wasp, you must wake up." And She-Hulk saying, you should have left the Avengers, Waspy." And then Black Knight, "Jan, we need you." Captain Marvel, "Help us." And is this Valkyrie? Ha, you cannot even help yourself. You were doomed from the moment you stepped on the beach. I forgot who that is, but that's all right. So, we got the wasp walking through, sees this deer, shrinks down. I'm not reading all this here. Um, the deer's gone. Suddenly there's a arrow. She deflects it, but the arrow's coming toward her, and she uses her wasp powers. Look at the screen tone being used here. But it was a trick arrow. There's stuff coming through. She falls down, and so we got is it Artemis? I think so. She's the huntress, and so she's gotten the wasp, and so she wakes up. She goes, "Where am I? Better yet, how do I get out of here? Huh? I know how a fly in amber feels," she says. So she shrinks down and tries to use her powers, which works, and off she goes. I better find out where the dickens I am before my host returns. The architecture here looks vaguely Grecian, but bigger and grander than anything I've ever seen before. I don't know of anything like this in the Caribbean. So she comes out and says, "You who are called the Wasp, hold, I would speak with you." And she, of course, recognizes her Hera as the wife of Zeus. "I mean you no harm. You have the word of Hera." And so, of course, she tells you here in mythology she was the queen of the gods. And so the Wasp asks, "This is Olympus?" And Hera says, "It is." Then that bearded man who shouted at me was, "My husband Zeus," says Hera. "He blames you, blames all the Avengers for the injuries of his favored son Hercules. You were merely the latest mortal to be brought forth at his command. He consigned 7 other Avengers to the depths of Hades, but they have escaped. So great now is the wrath of Zeus that he would level a world to see them punished." So, but of course, we have here, and look at this. This is supposed to be an injury because there's blood coming through. I almost said Baron. My goodness gracious, Dr. Druid. So, and so we getting a kind of what's been. So, and you can see here that the Avengers, we're kind of filling in the gaps. So the Avengers attack the Olympians here. I forgot who this was, but we've covered it again. Look at these screen tones, beautiful here. "The Avengers can only be pushed so far," Zeus says Captain Marvel. "Your power may daunt mortal foes, Captain Marvel, but not me. I am the Lord of Lightning." So, and so you can see Dr. Druid kind of making himself invisible. And so Thor says, "Mayhap you've more respect for the might of another thunder god, Redbeard," says Thor. "I respect no god who allies himself with mine enemies, Thor," says Zeus. "'Tis not the Avengers who are your enemies, Zeus. 'Tis your own madness." And he punches Zeus with his with Thor's hammer, but Zeus is like, "What? You dare smite the person of Zeus? This is just amazing. That's so cool." And so Thor goes boom, or sorry, kratum there. And so Captain Marvel goes, "Thor," as she calls out for him. And here we have Zeus saying, "This mortal rabble I leave to you and your brothers, Artemis. The Asgardian is mine." And Artemis says, "As you command, Father." So that was Artemis who hunted the wasp then. Okay. And so you can see here Zeus sort of disappearing in this wall of clouds here. And Captain Marvel says, "Not so fast, Artemis. You surprised me once with your magic arrows. Once, but never again." And so she kind of turns into light here. And you can see here, choom, for the sound effect. So, and now Ares, god of war, is fighting Namor. Again, I'm not a big fan of Namor. Just it's like Aquaman, but let me tell you, Aquaman has a better uniform than Mr. Green Underwear here. So Namor says, "Do you think you can slay me, Eris? Have you forgotten how easily I bested you when we first met?" And it says here in Submariner 57. And Eris says, "That battle was fought in your world, Submariner. Your ocean. You're in my domain. I shall split you in twain." And so you can see here, well, we start up here. He might at that. My strength is fading. I've been out of the water far too long. I must take the offensive, but how? And of course, on cue, here comes Captain America throwing his shield to Namor here. Again, big, thick inks. And then, of course, here we have the screen tones. And so he uses the shield and splits Eris's. Would this be an axe? Yeah. Yeah. So he splits the axe. Love that face here. And Namor says, "Cap, my thanks." So, and Captain America says, "I'm out of this fight, Namor. Up to you to maintain the colors. Don't let me down." And so Namor off panel says, "His legs are so badly broken, his pain must be immense, yet he still thinks of his teammates. Don't worry, Cap, And then Captain America yells, "Namor, behind you." Again, there's more screen tones here. Just awesome. I'm just impressed. I love it. Old-fashioned comic book storytelling here. Look at these. You look at modern day comic books and you don't see these big thick black lines. Everybody looks like they just come out of Photoshop or gaming. Nobody has, and I shouldn't say that. Not everybody. So we still have, of course, people that are still around from this era. We still have John Byrne with us, Bill Sienkiewicz, lots of people. But there's some new artists. Sean Phillips, even though he draws digital, Sean Phillips is very old school. A lot of blacks in his drawings. Chris Samney is another guy who draws spots a lot of blacks. So there are still Francisco Francavilla is another one. So there still are, but most everybody that you see just looks like they just run through Photoshop filters and that. You just don't see these marks anymore. So Eris says, "Yes, Namor, you are not done with me yet. Your inattention has allowed me to rearm. I shall teach you the error of ignoring war." And so, but here, it shows, like Dr. Druid before, Captain America is disappearing here. So here's She-Hulk punching Dionysus. And then, of course, here's the Black Knight. And he's going, "When did I black out? No, I remember now. Zeus showed up while we were trying to revive Hercules. The last thing I saw was Cap throwing himself in front of me." And of course, She-Hulk says, "Heads up, Knight." And he gets down before Dionysus hits him. "Coming through, Dana." She jumps over him. So, and the Black Knight is like, "What in the blazes is going on?" But then, soon we have in another area where Hercules is still unconscious. Man, what a freaking weenie this Hercules is. Still been unconscious for like going on 10 issues. So, anyway, I mean, I know it's part of the story still. Alright, so this is Hermes here. So he's the one who was taking everybody. And so you see here, Prometheus, helping Captain America. You see here putting on some splints here. And he says, Captain, I am not as learned in the healing arts as Apollo, but I have some experience in blocking pain. So, and of course, Hermes, who the Romans call Mercury. He's the god of speed. Hermes, good, set Hercules on yonder table. I like this knot, Prometheus. Love how they get the gods to speak. Spurting the injured Avengers from the scene of combat, bringing Hercules to you. Zeus would have my head if he knew. Never should I have agreed to this. Do you question my command, Hermes? Of course, it was Hera here. Never, Queen Hera. Druid, Cap, oh my gosh. Um, Go on, my dear. See to your friends. I must deal with a reluctant messenger. So, of course, the Roman for Hera is Juno, who happens to be the month of the year that we have in June. So, and Mercury, who's Hermes, is the who we have for I guess we don't have. I was thinking of Wednesday on Spanish. So Wednesday in Spanish is named after Mercury. But the planet Mercury, of course. So, all right. So you can see Mercury here, or sorry, Hermes here, gets down on his knees and says, "My queen, I meant no disrespect. As always, your word is my law, but surely Zeus would not approve." And um, oh my gosh, I sometimes go between these names. And Hera says, "Zeus is mad with grief. We must all do what we can to end that madness." And so the Wasp is like, "Cap, your poor legs." And he says, "They'll heal, Jan. I'm glad to see you're all right. Back up. We'll see this through." And Dr. Druid says, "Captain, I'm in awe of your faith." And he says, "We fought our way back from Hades, Druid. Anything is possible." Oh, Captain America, always so hopeful. So, here we got Captain Marvel here. And she thinks, "These Olympians have incredible strength and resistance. The voltage I pumped into Artemis would have killed several human beings. It only knocked her out." So, good pose here. And I love She-Hulk against the fat god here. She-Hulk has Dionysus well under control. How are the others doing? So, a quick thing on Dionysus. So, he's the god of wine. But in Roman, he was Liber, which is where we get liberty. So in the Roman, he was also the god of freedom. So wine, I guess, went with like being free, people drinking. In Greek, he was like god of wine and the orchards and fruits and all that kind of stuff. I mean, the Greeks had a god for everything. But in Roman, he was Liber. Thus, we get liberty. So anyway, we see Eris still fighting Namor here. "I shall pummel that cursed shield from your grasp." Katang here. So, and Namor says, "I am unaccustomed to using a shield. Had I Cap's skill and experience, I might have disarmed him by now." So here we go with Captain Marvel. "Let's even things up here, shall we?" And Eris says, "By the great abyss," as she kind of hits him, kind of shocks him here. Krakoom. And so, "I believe the ball is in your court, Namor." And Namor says, "It is indeed, Marvel. It is indeed." I love that. Sploosh as Eris falls. And so Namor tosses the shield to Captain Marvel and says, "Return this to Cap with my thanks. I'll have no need of it underwater." So he's going after Eris, and he is going to refreshen up. From the sounds of things, that was no idle boast. Wait a minute, where is Cap? And so you hear Namor here, or you can see Thram, Brock, Klosh. And so here Dionysus gets away from She-Hulk. "Did you think you could hold me forever?" he says. I love these types of panels here where there's no border. And here you see him pick up this column here. True, I have allowed my girth to expand over the millennia, and my strength has diminished somewhat since my youth, but not so much that I cannot hold my own against a mortal foe. I may be the god of joy, She-Hulk, but I can also cause such sorrow. And She-Hulk holds it and says, I wouldn't say that. So, and she grabs it again. Love the use of screen tones back then to give some gray values. Sure, you drugged me into a killing frenzy and sicked me on my friends, but to me, you're still a fun guy. That was in issue 281, which we have in our playlist. Let's have some more fun right now. And you can see Dionysus just and she just pummels him. That's pretty cool. And so, and then this is, I believe, Venus here, or not Venus, Aphrodite. So, Captain America, this is crazy. Hephaestus, Venus. Oh, wait a minute. I don't know. Really going between Greek, maybe Roman is Aphrodite. Anyway, and Athena are just now coming to. They're gods. Why didn't they revive before I did? Says Black Knight. And Captain Marvel says, maybe Zeus zapped them harder for trying to help us. Right now, I'm more concerned that Cap, Druid, and Hercules are missing. Now, Hercules should be Heracles, but people just keep saying Hercules. So that's probably Zeus's doing too. We have to find them. And Thor, I'll start searching. And so you can see Captain Marvel change from person back to energy and says, follow when you can, she says here. So, Captain Marvel, gone already. I'll never get used to her moving that fast. And here comes Namor with Eris. Victory is mine, Dane Whitman. Where is everyone? And so now we're back with Prometheus here. And we have the Wasp here. Prometheus, do you really think you can really revive Hercules? Cap tells me that neither Dr. Druid nor Apollo were able to, she asks. And Prometheus answers, I know, but one measure has yet to be tried. It is dangerous, but I must do it. I owe Hercules much, he says. And so, of course, Captain America and Dr. Druid are whispering. That's what these meant. As a boy, I read of the legends of Prometheus, of how he defied the gods to aid mankind. I know those stories well, Captain. Let us hope he is as capable as the myth suggested. So, we've got Hercules here in the table. I love the H. So, and so Prometheus says, you had best rejoin your friends in the far corner, Wasp. The forces I must unleash are too powerful for mortals to endure. And Hera says, Hermes, Prometheus will have need of your wand. And he says, as you wish, Hera. And so here he is doing his little magic here. Hear me, Gaia, mother of us all. Grant me the power, the will, and the way to awaken this one's mind from the sleep of sleeps. Let Hercules again be whole. Let Hercules live. So the Earth, which is, I believe Earth is actually, I know that we refer it, but Gaia is also the name of the planet. Although we call it Earth. Earth, I believe, is the Roman name for Gaia. Actually, Gaia in Roman is Terra, which is the translation of from Terra you get Tierra, which is Spanish for Earth, which is the English of Tierra. So, yes, the planet is named after Gaia. So that's why you see a couple people that call the planet Gaia. So, all right. So you see these people running, or these creatures, people here and animals here, as Thor and Odin are still fighting. You can see Thor here going, oh, as he's hit with um, Zeus's power here. What's this? The mighty Thor cries out in pain. Have you no shame, Asgardian? Will you die a mewling coward? And Thor says, No, I shall not. And he slams his hammer. Though my body be wrecked with pain beyond reckoning, I will not die. Will not, nay, I cannot. Such is the curse of Hela, that no one can slay the son of Odin, not even a god gone mad. You can see here he pounds the hammer again here. So, mad, 'tis you who must be mad. Why else would you ally yourself with the mortal curs who betrayed my son's trust? You see in me but the righteous anger of a father wronged. If that be madness, and you can see him aim at this poor little tree. And Zeus continues, I welcome it, and knocks the tree and into Thor. And Thor's like, Odds death, there is no reasoning with him. His grief and rage over Hercules, death-like sleep has deafened him to all but his own cry for vengeance. I know that cry all too well, as he kind of bursts out. I love this panel here. He is possessed of the warrior's madness. Unless I can shock him to his senses, his mania will consume all. Stay your hand, Zeus. You cannot kill me, says Thor, and your rage brings you naught but disgrace. Speak not to me of disgrace, a stripling. And so, love the boots with the toga here. There can be no greater disgrace than the betrayal of Hercules, as he again hits Thor with lightning. I have betrayed no one, says Thor. Just weakened here by Zeus's constant. Again, you rise. That does it. Take to end. What does it take to end your treacherous life? What I said before was true. The sleep eternal has been denied to me by the goddess Hela. You cannot kill me any more than you can kill the truth. And the truth is that the fault of Hercules' misfortune is his own. And Zeus says, no. Yes, he was too addled to listen to the Avengers' warnings. And we have Zeus here. No, you shall suffer for those lies. You shall suffer and you shall die. And so Prometheus is still at it here. Live, Hercules. As you rescued me from eternal torment in ages past, so would I now save you. Take of my life's power. Live, he says. And Was is like, what is he doing? And I love it, Egad. So Dr. Dre says, Egad! Prometheus is channeling part of his own life force into Hercules, but Hercules has almost certainly sustained serious brain damage. If Prometheus does not exercise precise control, and of course we see Captain America and say, look, Hercules' hand, it's working. And so now we go back to Thor getting his ass kicked here. Look at how angry Zeus is. Perfidious child, your very existence sullies the memory of noble Odin. Look at that, just how pissed he is. I see now that the workings of destiny. I have a sacred duty to rip the life from your bones. And someone here says no and hits Zeus here. Gah, by my beard. What? I love that. By my beard. And so we got Captain Marvel. Back off, Zeus, or I'll do a lot worse than cut your arm. In the name of the Avengers, I order you to surrender. And Zeus is like, you order me? And Thor says, Captain Marvel, no, the power of Zeus is far beyond your ken. This is no place for mortals. And Captain Marvel's like, I didn't buy that argument before, Thor. I certainly don't buy it now. We stand or we fall together. What's it gonna be, Zeus? You're death, woman. And you can see him shoot at her, but of course she's made out of energy. No, not yet. You can throw your lightning bolts from now till doomsday, but they won't do diddly to an image of light. Bah, I shall waste no more time against such phantasms. And so she, of course, is now going to charge at him. You don't care for my living holograms? Fine. Remember that electrical burst I hit you with earlier? I went easy on you this time. And you can just see here, Brakabkak room. The gloves are off. Just this huge panel here. Just, beautiful here. Great storytelling here. And you can see now we kind of go into black and white with a little bit of yellow. By my troth, as Thor covers himself. And everyone's like, holy, you were right, Dane. Captain Marvel came this way. So, absolutely gorgeous here. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. And they're all like, what? My eyes, milady, I cannot see. Nor can I. The world swims before me, but I cannot stop now. It's crucial. But Hercules is awake, and he hasn't finished. And he hits Prometheus, and Prometheus did not finish. So we are about to get things worse. Treachery! Enemies everywhere, sir, says Hercules. And oh, look at this here. So, smoldering. And so, Captain Marvel says, I don't believe it. I hit you with as much energy as I expanded on Nebula's starship. How can you still be standing? Of course, this is back in issue 260, which we did not cover. So, and Zeus says, none can defeat the Lord of Olympus. By mine own will am I invincible. And so, and Captain Marvel says, I don't got power for another one. And she apologizes, and Thor says, make no apologies, my captain. You hurt Zeus more than he admits, as no mortal ever has before. Silence, there shall now be an ending. And here comes Namor. Wrong, boastful one. As long as one Avenger yet stands, we will prevail. As she hits him, and he's like, what the hell hit me, a mosquito? Look at him, he grabs him here. I have had enough. Just grabs him by the arm and flings him. I shall countenance no more. Wonderful stuff. And She-Hulk is gonna go behind him. And of course Zeus is still going at it. But we've got like 2 pages left, so we'll just keep going. Mortals have grown stronger and more presumptuous of late. 'Tis clear I must again make my presence felt upon the earth, that mankind might learn anew the proper respect for gods. And so She-Hulk says, is a hug respectful enough, Red? And he's like, unhand me. And just look at this, beautiful. And She-Hulk goes flying. What a great panel. Master storyteller John Buscema. And so Black Knight is like watching this. He's like, oh boy. I love Zeus is still just boasting and talking. I shall bear no more indignities. I shall show no mercy. And Black Knight is like, he tossed She-Hulk and the Submariner around like toys. I don't stand a chance against power like that. How could things possibly get worse than this? Of course, we're going to make things worse for you guys. And so we get to the last page here. And I love Roger Stern here. How? With a question mark? Well, we're about to know. Arr! He says here, kind of like the Hulk. And the Wasp says, Hercules, what is it? What's wrong? And Captain America's face here. Jan, get back. He just flattened 3 gods with a single blow. He's not in his right mind. He doesn't even know who we are. And Hercules, look at this. Amazing, amazing. Sorry, he says, no, I know you. You are enemies. You all must die. I love the dry brush being here. And so we get to the end of our issue here. Next, the fateful conclusions, Twilight of the Gods. Avengers 285 from 1987. Great cover here. I wonder what this cover would have done in red versus green. I like this cover. I just think the red or some kind of magenta would have really popped out here. This is the end of Roger Stern's run on the Avengers. There is a Avengers versus X-Men that he wrote, but I have not covered that as of this recording. I'm waiting to get to it on my X-Men site, so I'm not there at this time. So, all right, Twilight of the Gods, Roger Stern, John Buscema, and Tom Palmer. Tom Palmer is an incredible inker. I absolutely love. He works on a brush, adds a lot of screen tones, just beautiful here. And so we have the Black Knight, who in the Marvel Cinematic Universe is going to be played by Jon Snow. And I say Jon Snow because I know characters, I don't really know names. So whatever the name of the guy that plays Jon Snow is, here we go. And again, some more screen tones here and on the sword. So, and then it's talking about he is holding Cap's shield, and then he's got the ebony sword here. So we got Zeus here still standing. Everything's kind of been decimated. Captain Marvel here is Monica Rambeau. She was the Captain Marvel of this time, and she calls out for Namor and the She-Hulk. That would she's saying Jennifer. And Thor says, "Fear not, Captain Marvel, Submariner and the She-Hulk yet live, despite the best efforts of Zeus." And Zeus says, "You think me incapable of slaying these mortals, Thor? Bah! I have but spared their meager lives for the moment," he says. So, "I have condemned you all to death by torment for what you did to my son, and I shall see that sentence carried out, even if I myself must act as executioner." Real quick here, half being the screen tones kind of here being put. And like I mentioned already, and I'll probably mention it many, many more times, Tom Palmer is the master of putting screen tones. I think he puts in more screen tones than any other inker out there. Klaus Janson is the second one with the most. And believe it or not, back in the old days, Scott Williams used to be quite the screen tone user himself. So, all right, the Black Knight thinks here. He still blames us for the injuries that put Hercules in a coma. Looks like Captain Marvel, Thor, and I are the only Avengers still on our feet, and they look pretty shaky. But how in blazes am I supposed to make a stand against the King of the Gods, even with Cap shields? Cap, I don't even know where he and the others are. The Black Knight continues. So we see Captain America, Dr. Druid, and the Wasp are actually dealing with Hercules after he's already... I know these three kind of blend here. They kind of blending with the background because of the coloring here. Anyway, Captain America says, "Hercules, don't!" But that doesn't seem to matter. As I mentioned, I have a playlist, so Cap's legs were broken. And Hercules says, "Enemies, enemies everywhere." And the Wasp thinks here, "This is insane. As Prometheus was bringing Hercules out of his coma, Hercules turned on him and knocked out Hera and Hermes as well," which is the ones over here. And out loud, she says, "Hercules, stop. You're hurting Cap and Dr. Druid. We're not your enemies. We're your friends." And Hercules says, "No, you ordered me, hurt me. Now I hurt you." And she turns into the Wasp here and says, "The experts were right. He did suffer brain damage. His memories are all fixed up." And she's like, or she says to him, Hercules, please try to remember. We warned you of the danger. It was the masters of evil that hurt you. I love the facial expression. Oh, looks good. No, you heard. And the wasp thinks here, it's no use. He won't believe me. I need help. High powered help. Hera, Prometheus, wake up. We need you, she says. So, and here he uses that thunderclap that Hulk uses. And you see here this whoom. And I love the energy kind of being projected in the background. Actually, if you would have put some Kirby dots back here, or that actually would have worked pretty well. Anyway, so she hits herself against that, and you can see here she's knocked down. And Cap says, "Hercules, you're confused, mistaken. I know you've been badly hurt, but you must try to remember." And you can see him hanging on to his leg. Blast him, man! This is Captain America. Listen to me. No more listening. Time to kill. And he grabs her here. Looks like he's about to crush her to death. So, and Dr. Druid jumps on him and says, no, my friend, no killing. You will listen to me, Hercules. Listen and relax. And Dr. Druid, you see him here. The wasp is not your enemy. Not enemy? That's right. And now let her go. And he does. And then he goes, tricks. You play tricks with my mind. Druid, look out. He'll tear you apart. And Dr. Druid goes and says, head's throbbing. Must block the pain. Must get through Hercules' inner mind while I still can. This is no trick, Hercules. I want to help you remember, he says. Remember, Hercules, think back. And he's like, back again. So more screen tones being used. And I love this part here, kind of going by memory. This part is great here because you got the eyes here, which are in the present, and then kind of the panel there guiding us back. So that's very cool. So up here we go. Yes, Hercules, remember, it was just a few weeks ago. You were returning to the Avengers mansion after a night of carousing. And here we have the Wasp saying, Hercules, stop, don't go in. And we go up here. Remember how the Wasp and Captain America led you to a place of concealment? Remember what they told you? The mansion's overrun. How is that possible? Who are these miscreants? And the Wasp says, old enemy of ours. As many as a dozen of them, or maybe more. The Avengers' enemies had laid a trap for you, Hercules. They had paid others to get you drunk and to drug you without your knowing. Your fellow Avengers tried to warn you of that trap, but you ignored them and blundered onto it. Did you jackals think you could overwhelm the Lion of Olympus with mere numbers? Says Hercules. They did think they could best you, Hercules, and they were right. Some of them had strength to rival your own. Together, their might was overpowering. Remember, Hercules? Remember? That was, of course, in the Under Siege storyline, which is in the Avengers playlist. And Hercules, I love this panel here, screaming, no, no more, no more. And you can see he tosses Dr. Druid away from him. Very good. John Buscema was a master storyteller. So back to Zeus here. And She-Hulk says, I don't get it. Why did you let Namor and me regain consciousness? We would have been helpless. And Zeus says, you are still helpless before my power. I wanted your mind clear that you should feel the full measure of my vengeance. Just a minute, your highness, says the Black Knight behind him. You've forgotten the Black Knight you've forgotten the Black Knight. Is this mere mortal beneath your notice, or are you just afraid to admit that you might not be able to kill me, he says. What? Says Zeus. Never have I beheld a man so eager to die, and he uses his power. I wish this would have gone over the panel here all the way through. So it worked, says the Black Knight. I wasn't sure if my sword's enchantment was strong enough to absorb the thunderbolts of Zeus. The question is, can Big Red stand up to his own punishment? And he throws back the lightning. Ah, you dare, says Zeus. We all dare plenty, and now Namor and She-Hulk hit him. We shall not beg for mercy from a mad god, says Namor. As long as any of us yet draw breath, the Avengers shall fight on. Yeah, what he said, says She-Hulk. This is for blaming Hercules' injuries on us, and this is for tossing us into Hades, and this. And then Thor says, one side Avengers, though Zeus has sorely tried my cursed bones, still do I wield the hammer Mjolnir, and none may resist its might. And so you can see hitting Hercules here. This is beyond belief. Never have I been humbled in such a way. Never. So great going here. I wish they would have also not done these lines. I love panelless or borderless panels. I think they're pretty cool. So, and Thor's hammer returns to him. Never before have you faced the mighty Avengers. You can say that again, says Captain Marvel. Still feel a little wasted, but I can't let Zeus see that. Will you listen to us now, Zeus? There is no need to take this any further. We don't want to hurt you, but speak for yourself, Captain Marvel. I don't mind knocking him down a few more times, says She-Hulk. And you can see the angry Zeus here. No one, mortal or immortal, speaks thus to Zeus. You can see him there showing off his power here. And here, no one, and he just beats the crap out of the Avengers there. Very powerful he is, and he knocks him down. Poor mortal wretches, I almost pity you. And so, but there is no pity in my heart for you, Odin's son, and siding with these traitorous mortals, you betrayed my son's friendship. You dared raise your hand against me. You have claimed that you cannot be killed. Another lie I shall now prove. No, unhand him. Stay away from me. I shall brook no mortal's interference. And knocks him down. We're still not shown who he is. We, of course, can probably assume. No, you must let go. You must be stopped. And so, takes Zeus here. Thor, you okay, big guy? Says She-Hulk. I yet live, but Zeus had me in his grasp. Why did he release me? Asks Thor. I don't know, Thor, but I can guess where he went, says the Black Knight. By my father's beard, as you can see the trees being destroyed. Stop! You must not hurt the Avengers. I will not let you. Who are you to order me? I am Zeus, he says. Lord of all Olympus, my word is law. And so I have a hard time believing he can't see him, but that's all right. We'll go with it. None may command me. I am supreme, as he punches the dude. That's all right. That's enough. Woman, you have made your final mistake. Nay, Zeus, 'tis you who have erred yet again, says Thor. Hold him tight. I've never cut an immortal before, and I don't want to. I don't want to now. But I will if I have to. Miscreants, there is no end to your insolence. Watch your mouth, Buster, says She-Hulk. And She-Hulk, please, says Captain Marvel. And then she says, Namor, how is he? He still lives. It's a miracle. There shall be no more miracles, Avengers. I shall slay every one of you. I don't believe it. You're so obsessed with vengeance, you don't care who you hurt. Dane, he's so furious, I doubt he realized that he was beating his own son to a pulp. He says, my son? And you can see his face, and it happened to be Hercules. Who do you think you were striking, Redbeard? Easy, my friend. We are here, as you can see him, Namor. Do you at last see how your rage has blinded you, Zeus? Hercules, my son, forgive me. I didn't know. I didn't see. Father, you were wrong about the Avengers. Hercules, what are you saying? Your son speaks of truth. This is Prometheus here. Which you have denied, Thunderer. Truths of which these mortals try to speak. Prometheus, I should have seen your hand in this, Titan. You cannot fool me by filling my son's head with your lies. When Hercules lay at death's door, he did accuse the Avengers of treachery most high. Those were but ravings, the works of a damned mind. Prometheus speaks true, Father. Avengers not at fault. I am. Is that and that is the truth, Zeus. Hera, what is your part in this? Demands Zeus. As with all your escapades, husbands, I have been a pained observer, even as I sought to correct your mad acts. And so we get a kind of how everything was basically a quick recap here. And so here's Prometheus taking off his cloak. In ages past, Hercules risked his own life to free me from the bounds of torture atop Mount Caucasus. I could do no less for him now. So, Father, you must believe me. The Avengers are not to blame. I ignored their warnings and was beaten. My fault. All my fault. And here Zeus is like, Hercules, my son, what have I done? By all that is eternal, what have I done? Oh, so you can see all the destruction that happened here. And so now we're at Olympus, and the Avengers are recovering after the beating that Zeus gave them. And here they make a comment that even though he sent them to hell, that they will gladly drink his food and wine here. And so Captain America has now shown up with Dr. Druid here. His legs have healed, so some time has passed up there. And Captain Marvel says, your legs, I was afraid you'd never walk again. And he says, thank Apollo. He healed Dr. Druid's concussion and my fractures in a matter of minutes. So I guess they weren't there a while. That's wonderful, but where's Thor? And this is Apollo here wearing this. And Apollo says, it's a wonder you can still move, Odin's son. Please let me try to heal your bones. And Thor says, it would be a waste of time, Apollo. No, I must face the death goddess Hela herself before I'm rid of her debilitating curse. I do have this is from Walter Simonson's Thor run, and I do have a playlist with all the stuff that's are happening over there if you wish to see it. So, as you wish. Although this, real quick, these Avengers are a little bit more ahead than where I am. So, Avengers, it is the wish of Zeus that I conduct you to a special tribunal of the gods. If you would follow, please. And so here are the Pantheon. And so Ares is asking where Zeus is. And Athena says, we'll soon learn. Our father approaches. And look, he wears the robes of penance. So basically, Zeus says, I'm just going to paraphrase because I'm just going to hurry along. Zeus says that they made a mistake, and even though it was out of concern, he committed a crime against the Avengers. And so he says, no more. Gods will no longer be welcome in Earth, he says, to ensure that this doesn't happen again. And of course, Neptune, who is also known as Poseidon, says, I'm Lord of the Sea. You cannot bar me from my worshippers. And Ares, who's Mars, also the god of war. Neptune is not the only one with followers, Father. Many mortals who revere the ways of war. I will not be denied. And of course, I love this. Silence, he screams. You are forbidden to walk the earth. Thus is the will of Zeus. Disobey me at your own peril, he says. And so he walks out with Hercules and says, come now, son. I have much to make up to you. He says, yes, Father. So, and here they talk a little bit about the gods. So we'll just basically, Prometheus is going to return them back to Earth, and they wonder about Hercules as the gods can't travel the Earth. And he says he still has a while to recover. So, all right. And so I'm going to read this paragraph here. But now you must be on your way. There be many serious challenges awaiting you on the world. In the days to come, mankind will have need of heroes, and you will be sorely tested. And Captain Marvel's like, what do you mean? And he's like, I can say no more, Avengers. Live strong. So, so they arrived back in New York. The Wasp is basically taken off. After all, she was on vacation and people were there, and Thor is gonna go back to Asgard to fight Hela, which, by the way, I will be covering. I'm covering his Simonson's run. We're just not there yet, but we'll get there. And says, "Fare thee well. We may soon meet again." And so, um, the rest are on their way, and they ask Captain, "Are you coming?" He says, "No, you can go without me. I'll see you at the next meeting." He says. And Captain America thinks about what Prometheus says, and he says, "I'm not gonna worry about it. Whatever challenge, we'll meet it. We always have." So here comes the Quinjet here, and there's Namor and the Black Knight, and this is Marina, who's Namor's wife. I think she's from Alpha Flight, if I remember correctly. And so she gives him a warning and says his people, they're gone. After Neptune carried him off, they abandoned everything and fled into the depths. They said that their god had rejected him. And Namor's disappointed because he wanted to go back to ruling Atlantis, and he says, "Don't blame them. Atlantis have worshipped Father Neptune for generations. Were I them, I might have done the same." And so they look at the sunset here, and basically, are basically, what is it in movies? Next day is a brand new day. And so we're in the last page. So it says here, a week later, in the Avengers temporary file room. This is the one of those who overran Avengers Mansion in my absence. That is correct. Norbert Ebersol, also known as the Fixer. He was Baron Zemo's right-hand man. He's currently being held at a federal maximum security prison. And Dr. Druid says, "I take it there's a point to this update, Captain." "Yes, Doctor. The Avengers have a lot of enemies. We should all have working familiarity with who and where they are." And here comes oh my God, She-Hulk and the Black Knight. She says, "Where's Captain America? I wish I knew. Dane and I went to pick him up for the meeting, but there was no sign of him. We tried contacting him by radio, but got no reply. Maybe he's off on some secret mission. Surely Cap would leave us word with us, unless a few days ago, Cap told me that the Federal Commission was after him to work exclusively for the government. You think he took them up on it? Hardly. Still, Dane, see if you can reach Cap through his telephone hotline. Jeannie, contact the Falcon. He and Cap have worked closely in the past. See if he's heard anything. I want to know what's going on. If Captain America is in trouble, we're going to make it the Avengers business." So, I also cover Captain America. I have a playlist for Captain America, and I am actually covering what is going on in with Captain America in the Captain America. But essentially, Steve Rogers is no longer Captain America, and he is replaced by John Walker. So if you're interested in how all that came to be, as I mentioned, I have a Captain America playlist. Feel free to check that out. So I hope you enjoyed this collection of issues, Assault on Olympus. I believe that... I'm sorry, I keep saying Assault on Olympus. No, I did say it right. I still have Under Siege on my mind. So Under Siege and Assault of Olympus are, I believe, the climax of Roger Stern's run on Avengers. We only really covered 1/4 of his Avengers run. He had a lot of stuff. All of it, I believe, with John Buscema and Tom Palmer. So I don't know if I'll be able to get to it. There's quite a few other Avengers projects I want to get to, including the Avengers, X-Men, which hopefully I will be able to get to this week. Also, we no longer have John Buscema with us. We no longer have Tom Palmer with us, but we still have Roger Stern as of this recording with us. So rest in peace to those other two giants of the comic book industry. Like and subscribe. I do thank you for listening. Goodbye.